Cancer experts at Ashner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ashner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold.
Says quarterback Aaron Rodgers and the rest of the starters will not play Saturday night against the Giants, meaning they won't play at all in the preseason.
I'm not thinking about it from an injury standpoint because, like I said, you can get hurt at practice. This has everything to do with whether or not we're preparing ourselves properly and not just looking at checking the old coach's box. I feel good about it. We got to go play. Does it really help us in week one?
Robert Saleh, the Jets open the new season on Monday Night Football on the road against the 49ers September 9th. Panthers quarterback Bryce Young and the rest of the starters will play in the preseason finale against the Bills on Saturday. Buffalo plans to rest its starters. The Dodgers will cut outfielder Jason Haywood, designating him for assignment. Perry Manassian gets a new contract as GM of the Angels. He's been on the job for 4 seasons.
Here's one stat that's super simple to remember. Discover automatically doubles the cash back on your credit card at the end of your first year with Cashback Match. With Discover, you could turn $150 cash back to $300. See terms at discover.com/credit card.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
Let's ride.
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
And Mr. Toby Tomplake. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Ton to do today. Our buddy Chris Marler will be here in 15 minutes. Talk about week 0 and some SEC big picture topics. Ross Jackson next hour. We're headed to L.A. to talk to Ryan Kartje to preview the Trojans. Richard Dickson here to talk tight ends in hour 3. We got a ton to do. Let us begin as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
So, oftentimes when someone is given anonymity, they're very honest, right? If you're allowed to speak under the condition of anonymity, chances are you're going to be truthful and forthcoming because you don't fear any retribution. I suppose the argument could be made that the opposite is also true. If you're given anonymity, then there's no real consequence in telling a falsehood, if that's the case. But one of the things I love to do every year around this time, around the start of the season, is when some publications put out anonymous quotes from coaches. If you're new to the show, I do this every year. I think Athlon does a great one where they ask SEC coaches to talk anonymously about other coaches in their programs. And you usually get some very good stuff. Well, ESPN has a piece up. Adam Rittenberg, who's a longtime writer there over at ESPN. And Adam Rittenberg gave coaches from various leagues anonymity to speak about quarterbacks in their respective leagues. Naturally, I was going to be interested in what they said about Garrett Nussmeier, because Nussmeier is one of the quarterbacks that some SEC coach spoke anonymously about. Now, it is worth mentioning, I always throw this caveat. that we don't know who the coach is. So it could be a head coach. It could be a defensive coordinator. It could be a quality control assistant at Vanderbilt. Could be. Don't know. So you just have to trust the source, meaning Adam Rittenberg, ESPN, that what they are printing here is valid and valuable. Okay? I tend to put a lot of stock in this because I don't think something like this would be published at ESPN.com or say Athlon or something like that if it wasn't reputable. So the coach that was asked to speak on Garrett Nussmeier had this to say. It's a print piece. I'll read the quote for you about Garrett Nussmeier. Quote, he's going to be an elite player. He's got great arm action. He's got great arm strength. He's got great anticipation. He knows the game. He's got just enough arrogance that he knows how to play quarterback. I love all of that, in particular the last line. You know, we're at SEC Media Days in July. It's interesting because you go there for 4 days, and inevitably everyone there ends up doing a ton of interviews. I did dozens of interviews on other people's stations. But it's reciprocal, right? People come on your show, you go on theirs, whatever. But when you do that, you end up answering the same question over and over and over again, right? So when people would ask about LSU, it was Brian Kelly year 3. How do you replace Jaden Daniels and Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas? Is the defense going to be any better? You answer the same question over and over and over. And so one of the questions always was about Nuss. And so I had my pat answer. If you cared to, you could go look at any of these stations on demand and go listen to my interviews, and you will have heard me say this 1,000 times. And this is how I say it. Hey, look, if you go to Central Casting and you try to pick out a quarterback, it probably looks like Garrett Nussmeier. He's 6'2", 200 pounds. He's got the size. He's got the arm strength, can make all the throws. He's the son of a coach, high football IQ, tons of confidence, moxie, bordering on arrogance. That's how I've described Garrett Nussmeier forever. He checks all the boxes. Check. The one thing we don't know about him is how he'll hold up and how he'll play over a 12-game season because we just haven't seen it yet. That's the one question. It's just experience, but I think a lot of people are excited on. I mean, I've given that answer so many times that I could spit that out in my sleep now because I've said it so many times on so many different platforms. So it was interesting that this coach anonymously said Nussmeier, has got just enough arrogance that he knows how to play quarterback. Now, here's the one thing about Garrett. There was one question we all have outside of the experience, right? But there's one question. Does that arrogance or cockiness end up getting you in trouble? It's literally the one thing. If you go back and look at the game against Southern a couple of years ago where Garrett came in as a sub, he threw one of the most heinous pick sixes I've ever seen in my life. And that's kind of been the MO. In 2022, he threw 5 touchdowns and 4 picks. Can he purge the bad decisions, the interceptions, the mistakes out of the game? Because if he does, he's got everything else that checks every other box. You have arguably the best offensive line in the history of the program. You have a gaggle of freak show receivers. It's so embarrassing to look and just say, hey, just give me one. I don't care. Just give me whoever. Hey, Kyron's not available right now. Give me Shelton Sampson. Okay, the 5-star that runs like a gazelle and jumps out the gym. Yes, that guy who's just sitting on the bench waiting for his turn. Chris Hilton, former 5-star, now as a 4th-year player is going to get his opportunity. You know what I mean? It's like there's an embarrassment of riches. The only thing, in my estimation, singular, outside of injuries, but the only thing that would derail this season offensively is turnovers. And Brian Kelly was asked about that after practice on Wednesday, about Garrett's decision-making being the one thing that could potentially hold him back.
He wasn't the starter, so, his interceptions were, mop-up duty, trying to get on the field, trying to make a play. He was in a whole different – it wasn't his car, as I said. He was driving that thing fast, and he didn't care if he dented it. It's his car now, and he's really careful that he doesn't, mess it up. And so there's a different mindset, kind of like what I was talking about, the number 2 versus the number 1. He understands that he can't put the ball in the other team's hands.
He understands he can't put the ball in the other team's hands. It's the mindset it's the analogy Brian Kelly gave us at Media Days. when you rent a car as opposed to owning a car. When you rent a car, you might ding it up a little bit. It's not your car. You leave I would never do this, to be clear. Like, I'd still be respectful of other people's property. But you leave your trash wrappers in there, and you don't wash it, and maybe you're parked a little crooked because you're not worried about it. When it's your car and you're paying for it, you make sure it's polished. You make sure you run it through the car wash. You make sure you take all the trash out. You want to make sure people aren't putting their feet up on the seat. Like, you take care of it. That's the analogy BK's given right there. So it'll be fascinating to see if Garrett can do that because, listen, when you look back at LSU, and you can just look at recent history, and it's so clear. Like, I'm going to give you some numbers, and numbers don't always play well on radio, and I get that. But you'll understand, even if you don't memorize this, how much turnovers and interceptions can derail a season. Last year, Jayden Daniels threw 40 touchdowns and had 4 interceptions. 40-4 in 13 games. Well, I guess 12 because he didn't play in the bowl game. By the way, Joe Burrow threw 60 touchdowns in a season. He did play 15 games, but anyway. In 2020, the COVID year, the combination of Miles Brennan, TJ Finley, and Max Johnson threw 24 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. More than double the amount that Jayden threw a year ago. In 2021, Max Johnson and Garrett Nussmeier combined for 11 interceptions. In 2022, BK's first year, Jayden Daniels, 17 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Nussmeier in his duty, by the way, went 5-4. 5 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. But Daniels was 17-3. And by the way, LSU went 9-3. They won beat Bama, went to the SEC championship game. Like, yes, you know this intellectually. You know this. You have to protect the football. And I think that's the one thing. It's the one singular thing with Garrett Nussmeier. And even the coaches in this league know it. He's going to be an elite player. He's got a great arm action. He's got great arm strength. He's got great anticipation. He knows the game. He's got just enough arrogance that he knows how to play quarterback. The key for Garrett is making sure that arrogance of how to play quarterback, that arrogance doesn't become carelessness. As long as he is careful and maintains, he straddles that line perfectly, he'll be awesome. And I think this LSU offense is going to be awesome again this year. Good stuff there. Appreciate it. It's After Further Review. Show open every day, brought to you by Bud Light. Drink easy in Louisiana with the great taste of Bud Light. They always got something going on. Of course, our friends over at Mockler Beverage, amazing people, great community partners. Always got good events going on as well. So if you're ever interested in getting around town, hey, look, make sure you check out the 100-year anniversary of Tiger Stadium bottles, the Bud Light bottles, the Bud Light T-shirts that they have as well. If you're watching us on set, I've got the new bottle right here. It's the new purple and gold LSU bottle. So if you're tailgating, of course, Bud Light, the official beer of the LSU Tigers, tailgating, game watches, wherever you're talking about, celebrating, drinking, talking about the Tigers this year, make sure you got plenty of ice cold Bud Light, the official beer of the LSU Tigers and the official beer of AFR. All right, it's After Further Review. Glad to have you hanging out with us here. Ross Jackson, about 45 minutes. He was at Saints practice today. Ross spoke to Foster Moreau today with some really interesting news. Apparently, Foster Moreau acknowledged he played a bulk of last season with torn ligaments in his knee. We'll get to that with Ross again in about 45 minutes from right now. When we come back, our buddy Chris Marler, Vern Funquist, now with us at LouisianaSports.net. We'll talk some SEC with Marler next. It's AFR.
AFR.
Fall's almost here, y'all. It is creeping up every single day. It's been so nice a couple days this week. You wake up and you got that little kiss of fall. Now it's 95 degrees right now, and that sucks. But fall's around the bend, which means it's time to start planting those fall vegetable gardens. Get on by and see our friends at Clegg's Nursery. They've got your fall bedding plants. They've got Johnny Naylor seeds. So if you're thinking of planting that fall vegetable garden, now is the time to get the seeds in the ground. You could do it. Also, you know it's fall on here, whenever, or almost here, when they got buckbusters. So, deer hunter, look, y'all know I don't deer hunt, but I know if you do, you need that stuff. Terry has told me. Buckbusters, they'll have bucks and deer corn coming soon as well, but all the locations have buckbusters. If you want to go snag them, it's at any of the 4 Clegg's Nursery locations. Siegen near Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. Buy local, shop local, and be sure to tell them that Matt sent you in to Clegg's Nursery.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial properties. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
I'm glad to have you rolling along with us here. I'm trying to see if it's been posted yet over at louisianasports.net. As I mentioned, we're going to have Chris Marler join us here in just a quick second, trying to connect there. This should be up really any minute, but our buddy Ross Jackson, who works with us over at louisianasports.net, had a chance to talk to Foster Morrow after practice today. And Foster confirmed to Ross, there'll be a full write-up coming up here shortly at louisianasports.net, but Foster confirmed that he played from week 3 to week 18 with a torn ligament in his leg and a custom brace. Apparently, it was a 3D printer to help him with it. It's pretty cool stuff from the training staff that Ross noted. So, Ross will be with us here in about 45 minutes from right now, so we'll check in with Ross. All right, we're trying to connect with Chris Marler. I think we're having trouble with the audio. Chris, I know you see me. We're going to call you on the phone. Pick up your phone. Okay, here you go. You can hear us. We can't hear you. Hey, Chris, are you muted? Are you muted? Okay. Anyway, pick up your phone. We're calling you right now. So we're trying to Zoom. And I can see Marler right there on the Zoom, and he can hear me, but we can't hear him. So we're just going to do this over phone.
He can hear us?
Marler, you can hear me? Pot him up. Marler, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I got you. Good, we're good. I don't know why you couldn't hear Musso earlier. All right. That was so bizarre. Okay. So you're sitting there on Zoom. I can see you. You can see me. But Musso offline has to connect the audio, and he couldn't hear you. Apparently you could hear us, but he couldn't hear you. Anyway, glad we got it. How are you, man?
I hear everything. It's very good. I'm very good. It's good to talk to you guys.
Wonderful. That's Chris Marler. He's on social media at Vern Funquist. He handles all our social media for louisianasports.net and is our SEC writer over at louisianasports.net. There's always things this time of year where you're heading into week 0 and then the start of the season where you see like most this, least that, all these lists and whatnot. I think I'm most interested in this sort of clump of, I'm calling this like clump of 5 teams, right? I think everyone agrees Georgia, Texas are at the top in the SEC, but it's Ole Miss, it's Bama, it's LSU, it's Missouri, it's Tennessee, that all sort of fancy themselves as a playoff contender. And I think every fan base is expecting to see their team in the playoff, in a 12-team playoff. If you had to guess, of those 5, who would you say is the overrated bunch? Who's the one that's going to be disappointed at the end of the season?
It's hard not to say Mizzou to an extent, just because the fact that Mizzou it's awesome that they won 11 games last year. It's awesome they were able to beat Tennessee the way they did. It's awesome they beat Ohio State in a New Year's Six Bowl. Let's just take a step back and look at the other 75% of Drinkowich's career there at Mizzou. And in the other 3 years, he had a losing record. So they have a ton of talent. They have a ton of offensive talent, especially. The schedule is as easy as it gets. It is based off of winning percentage from like their opponent's winning percentage from a year ago. It's ranked 127th in the country. There's no other team in the SEC that's lower than 63rd. So it's there for the taking for them, but it's also a team that lost more players defensively to the NFL draft than Georgia did. So I think that they are going to be, they don't have the luxury of losing 2 games and getting into the playoff because of how weak that schedule is. So I think it's Mizzou for me because it makes the most sense. Like the window is so much smaller and the leash is so much smaller for them to have not have a successful season.
But you brought up the schedule, which is the thing that I kind of focus on. I think a lot of Missouri people do as well. As you mentioned, Missouri has the easiest strength of schedule of any team in the SEC. So why wouldn't that be the thing that gets them back into that conversation?
Because in the SEC, I think also you're going to see this bottleneck of teams. You kind of mentioned it, without even saying it, right? Like where you're going to have a lot of teams that are 10-2, and I think SEC fans in general kind of think, oh, well, this new schedule or this new playoff, it's expanded. The SEC is guaranteed to get in 4, 5, 6 teams, and that's just not the case. Like it may have been the case in certain years. Like 2012 was a year that like the SEC was loaded, and I think you probably had 5 teams that maybe could have beaten Notre Dame. This isn't that. It's the first year of this playoff format. I think that you can see 4 teams getting in, but if you're 10-2 and you have Missouri's schedule, and remember they got road games at Bama, they get Oklahoma at home, and there's at least one other team in there I would assume in the schedule. Like I know they also play at UMass, which is wild because even UMass doesn't want to play at UMass. So I'm not sure who scheduled that. But they just have so much less room for error as opposed to like a team like Alabama, a team like even Ole Miss, who even though they get them at home, they still got UGA and Oklahoma, and LSU as well.
When you're in the SEC and you go play at UMass, you're giving the league a bad name. It's like Mississippi State did that a few years back when I think they went and played at UConn or something like that. It's like, no, you don't do that. Not in the SEC. Like Missouri, if you that's some weak sauce Big 12 stuff. You don't go unless if you're Vandy or State, you don't go play at UMass. Why would they do that?
They played at Boston College 2 years ago or 3 years ago.
But that's at least a power school. I'm at least okay with that. It's at least a P4 at the time P5. Like that's an ACC team they have a Heisman winner at some point in their life in their program's history. They've had some modicum of success. So what's the other side of that, Marler? Then who are the teams that you think or team that will surprise in the SEC this year?
And I hate to say it, I think it's Tennessee. Like you could make the case for Tennessee or LSU. LSU's schedule is way more difficult than Tennessee. A lot of Tennessee's success is going to depend on how good Nico. I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name. You've seen me spell on the website. I can't pronounce words either. So
Iamaleava. I've got it now.
Yeah. Okay. I'll forget that for sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
Nico is going to be a really good quarterback, and I love the fact that he's got like not just from a talent standpoint. I think that anytime you are able to come in and learn a system, and you don't have to be in a rush to be the starter, right? We see this a lot of times, especially in the NFL. I don't understand the rush into creating a bust for yourself, especially at this position. And you've seen it happen numerous times. Like the Packers are a good example. Like Aaron Rodgers sat there behind Brett Favre for a while. Then Jordan Love sat behind Aaron Rodgers. Sometimes it pays off to kind of come in, learn the system. You have a full year under your belt. And, I think if you watched Joe Milton play a year ago, you could have made the case that this kid could have played and could have started games there for Tennessee. But look at what Carson Beck's done at Georgia. Came in, highly ranked recruit, high 4-star kid, and sat there for 2 years. And now he's potentially going to be a top 10 pick or maybe number 1 overall. I think Nico has that kind of talent. Like he has that kind of effortless physical talent. And it's also the deepest receiver room and skill position room that Tennessee has had, in my opinion, especially with receivers, since probably the late 90s. Like that's how talented they are at receiver from the guys they've gotten from the portal. Also the kid Mike Matthews from Parkview. Shout out to the Panthers over there in Lilburn, Georgia. Former 5-star kid. They're going to be really good at receiver.
So this is what you have to learn if you're working with us. When you say shout out Parkview, there's a Parkview Baptist in Baton Rouge. That's a pretty good high school athletic program. So when you say Parkview, everyone thinks the Parkview Baptist Eagles, not whatever you just said. So I get it that you're like, you live in South Carolina, you're currently in Florida, you're a Bama fan, you're from Atlanta or something like that. But we got to get you to be a little more well-versed in our ecosystem here as you work with us. It's important. You got to know your audience. You know what I mean? It's like the number one rule of mass communication. You got to know thy audience, right?
You know, Matt, you text me roughly 78 times a day, and I think the next step in our friendship is and working relationship is me learning high school football teams in the state of Louisiana. That needs to be the next focal point.
You don't need to learn them. You just need to not refer to your high school in Georgia that nobody here cares about. That's the thing fair. We got to do here. Now, if it's Catholic High, then I could reference them anywhere I go all the time because it's the greatest high school ever and everybody knows it. And we just pump out 5-stars everywhere. By the way, 5-star Shelton Sampson right now, 5-star Blaine Bradford in next year's recruiting class. I mean, we're just 5-stars left and right, just everywhere. How many have been over there at Parkview, whatever, who'd-you-call it?
I don't have it off the top of my head because I stopped paying attention to most of my high school stuff, but I just mentioned one from last year. And my former teammate and baseball player, we're really good at baseball. They won like the national championship like 3 times in the last 10 years.
Catholic High won the national championship in baseball this year. And William Schmidt would have been a first-round pick, but he's going to LSU, and he's going to dominate. I'm looking forward to that, too.
Musa or Paul needs to just cut you off. No, guys, help me out here.
This is my show. You see, that's how this works. I get to do. It's my show. Like it's literally after further review with Matt Moscona. I can do whatever I want.
That's fair.
That is fair. That's how this goes. Chris Marler's with him. Follow him on social media at Vern Funquist. Yes, he chose to work for me. I don't know why. Like why would you do that? I don't know. To put up with this all the time.
It's been fun so far. Also, I hate to even get into this, but that was the old Twitter account before it got taken away. So it's Vern Funquist CFB. It's the new and improved one.
No, that's better. Yes, correct. It is Vern Funquist CFB. But if people just type in, and it's no E, it's VERN Funquist. You'll find it if you get on there. Are you a Bama believer this year? Objectively,
I am. I think that the success that they're going to have is, if you're being objective about it, I don't see how you look at what they lost in the portal, especially in that secondary, and think that, oh, everything's going to be fine. Look, they have good, I think, top-line type talent in the first-string defense. From the depth standpoint, I mean, they lost 41 players to the portal, and let's be honest, like the type of caliber players you were bringing in, especially from high school recruiting rankings, is not what you replaced it with. Like, I mean, like you did not replace Caleb Downs with Caleb Downs. So I think they're going to be good. I think the offense is going to be one of the best in the country. I think they're going to put up around 40 points a game. At the same time, like that schedule they have is brutal. Like they go to Wisconsin. They have road games at Tennessee. They have a road game at LSU. You get Georgia at home, Oklahoma on the road. You get Auburn at home. They play, I believe, 6 top 16 teams this year, and it's going to be a very, very difficult stretch. So if they finish 9-3, that's a good season for Kalen DeBoer in year 1. I don't know how Bama fans are going to react to that. And I don't know if it's enough to get them into the playoff. I would say this: the funniest thing to watch everyone outside of Tuscaloosa like have a meltdown, including you, I feel like, is if Bama went 9-3 and they were the only 9-win team to make it in the playoff. I think that would be hilarious.
That is, you know what, like that would be a nightmare scenario for me. It just personally, for me, that would be a nightmare scenario. I do not believe that is reality. I agree with you. I think Alabama, I've said it many times, I think that Alabama's going 9-3 and they'll miss the playoffs.
Right.
And I agree with you. 9-3, considering you lose the greatest coach of all time and everything that they lost in the portal, would still be a very good season by almost anybody else's standard, but not their standard. And that's the problem. When I actually have like a very measured approach talking about Bama instead of playing O Fortuna with flames on the back screen and yelling maniacally and having you then cut it up for shorts that we post all over the place. And then I have Alabama fans in my my Twitter mentions. They, Marler, they just don't know how to quit me, which is kind of an odd thing. I'm just savagely trolling the hell out of them and have been for 8 months, and they just don't understand that I'm I'm just hook, line,
all they
and
have to do is not respond.
Yes,
that's it.
It's really
listen.
that easy.
One of the things I know best is toxic relationships. I fully get it, guys. I fully get it. Just stop doing it. Just stop doing it. And they won't. They won't.
No, they won't.
Every single time I bring you up, I'm like, I'm really excited to be working with ESPN in Baton Rouge. People are like, your boss is the worst. And I'm like, maybe we grow up a little bit and you just don't fall for the same thing over and over. How many times can you tap someone on the opposite side of their shoulder and then them still look left when you're standing on the right? Like, how many times can that happen? And Bama fans will sit there and look left every single time.
All of the times. It's so good, too. And I would stop. I would totally stop if they would just not humor me. But they engage every time.
Your exact words to me about this 2 or 3 weeks ago was, sadly, I just don't think it's going to play anymore until the season starts. And then they lost like a recruit to Auburn, and you were like, well, let's try it again. And of course, that one worked better than any other one had worked in the past. It's unbelievable.
It's so good. All right, he's Vern Funquist, Chris Marler, working with us over at LouisianaSports.net. He's the guy behind all of our social media content that you see, and he is leading our SEC coverage at LouisianaSports.net. You have a piece up that you're going to do every week during the season called Big Picks Energy. I like it a lot. Maybe a little double entendre there. Not a bad thing to go with. All right, what do you like here on the slate? No SEC games, just a couple of games this weekend, but what do you like?
All right, so I'll give you my 3 favorite things from this weekend because it's hard to stay away from FSU Georgia Tech because it's the first game of the season, but I think that line has moved a ton. There's not a ton there to like, but I included some in the article, so go check that out on LouisianaSports.com. 3 best bets you can make, okay? Preston Stone, he does sound like he's the quarterback for SMU. He sounds like he came out of the womb with like a Joseph A. Bank blazer on, and that's fine. His passing props for this game is over 225 yards. Now, not only did he do that in 10 of 12 starts a year ago, but Nevada has the 115th ranked passing defense from last year, and they ranked 129th in yards per attempt allowed as well. So I love him to go over that. The other one is this. You talk about like where you can really get a lot of value from a betting standpoint. First half and first quarter lines and team totals. With teams that get out to a hot start. For instance, going into last season, Tennessee is a team that scored first in 27 of their 32 games under Heupel. I love to bet that when it's available. SMU is a very, very similar story. Their first quarter and first half line is 7 and 13 and a half respectively. They were the best team in the country at first quarter points per game scored. So their first quarter offense was better than anyone else in the country. Nevada was 105th. They were also 111th in points allowed in the first quarter, giving up over a touchdown a game in the first quarter. First half, SMU was also 7th in the country in first half points per game scored, like 22 points per game. Nevada was ranked 91st. So there's a lot of room there. I think that they're going to jump on them quick. And Preston Stone, just the Joseph A. Bank mannequin come to life. I think he's going to have a big day too.
Research and whatnot. How about that?
I know, right?
So SMU quarterback Preston Stone over 225 passing yards. As it says right here at LouisianaSports.net, your lock of the week. What happened?
That's right, lock of the week.
Oh, you can't hear the music. So we're playing for love of money underneath this right now. We'll do this whenever you do your big. Or should we play the big energy song, the big energy song? What do you think we should do, Marler?
What song is that?
I don't know that song.
How do I know?
Marler doesn't know it either. What are you talking about?
The big energy song.
Say the words, Matt. What is it? What are you talking about?
Isn't that Megan Thee Stallion?
Bro, I don't know.
I think that's something different.
Is that not what this is? The big energy? No?
I think, I'm just having a hard time. It's breaking up a little bit. Maybe sound it out. I had a hard time with Nico's last name. Maybe if you say the actual word, we'll all get it.
It's Lotto. All right, it's
Lotto.
It's big energy. Okay, fine. I thought it was Megan Thee Stallion. It's Lotto. It's called Big Energy.
Yeah.
How do I know this song and you don't?
No, I knew it. I just wanted you to say it.
Okay. Do you know? You don't know.
I don't know.
Okay, Musso legitimately doesn't know it.
I don't know that song.
Well, Musso's 12, so he doesn't know this kind of. He's listening to Kids Bop still.
Are you listening to Kids Bop?
Nah. That song would probably be on a Kids Bop, Marler, or just be cleaned up a little bit.
That's true. Big energy.
Yeah. Kids Wop.
Oh my God.
Nothing.
Yeah, let that one die.
Yeah, we gotta go on that one. That was tough.
All right, see you later.
All right, bye, guys.
That's Chris Marler. It's After Further Review. We're brought to you by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com, lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Gents, if you're thinking of popping the question, get Marler back here. Marler, if you're thinking of popping the question, you go to Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com. They're just the best. 9 locations in all, 2 in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Lafayette, Shreveport. Thrill her with a gift in the red box from Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Or maybe, gents, as the football season is beginning, you give her a gift to say, I'm so sorry I'm going to be completely gone and uninterested in everything relating to you for the next 4 months until college football season is over. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry can help. lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. All right, y'all. It's After Further Review. We're not going to break, go around the SEC. Thanks to Marler for being with us here. Make sure you read his stuff over at louisianasports.net. Around the SEC, by the way, there is one national college football personality who tends to agree that Alabama's circling the drain. Stay here. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. 752-0001, 752-0001, or 1hourbr.com. Spell it out, O-N-E, 1hourbr.com. Always love sharing great 5-star Google reviews. How about this one from Carl Denmark, who said Cody, his technician, did a wonderful job changing out the evaporator coil today. It took exactly the amount of time Cody said it would, and he kept me updated every step of the way. He was efficient, courteous, respectful, answered all of my questions. My wife and I appreciate the work Cody does. Thank you. Another 5-star Google review for River City's 1 Hour Air. If you have an issue with your AC, if it's not keeping up as the weather's still pumping at 95 degrees right now at 3:36 in the afternoon in the end of August, it ain't done yet. The River City's 1 Hour Air is always there. Look for the big yellow vans and trucks with the giant clock on the side. 752-0001, 752-0001 for River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has back-to-school savings like $16,000 off 25 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $16,000 off. All new Bayou vehicles come with a complimentary extended warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
It's an everyday thing here. We work horses in the mornings and we work on the property during the day, and without these John Deere tractors, it'd almost be impossible to keep up with the place. I've dealt with some of the other colors and stuff, and I never really got the response back that I get from John Deere, We really enjoy dealing with Sunshine. They're good people. They always check on us and make sure our equipment's running, and we love them. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ashner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introduce.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
Musa, what the hell is this?
Yeah, I don't even know. So I didn't read.
Turn it off. Hurry. Just turn it off.
I didn't read the title all the way on that one.
Don't ever. I mean,
that wasn't good.
No, that was not good at all in any kind of way. I have half a mind to reprimand you for that. The SEC coaches preseason all SEC teams are out. No great surprise here. First team Will Campbell from LSU. How about Xavier Thomas, first team returner, first team all SEC, or I shouldn't say returner, all purpose. That really, I don't know. I don't want to fall into the trap of thinking that it's going to be great in the return game, but I kind of think it's going to be great because Xavier Thomas has done it before. It's not like we're just grading on a curve here where all LSU returners for 30 years were just awesome and it was just who's next. For the last 3 years, it's been not great. So, yeah, I'm a little apprehensive, but at the same time, man, Xavier Thomas as a freshman was a first-team freshman All-American as a returner. So you have a guy that has done it before. That's encouraging. So Will Campbell, Xavier Thomas. On defense, no great surprise. We do find Harold Perkins there on first-team all-conference defense. Again, this is from the coaches. I do tend to put more stock in a coach's preseason all-conference team, and really just not only preseason, but all-conference teams and everything, just because coaches scout these guys. Coaches watch film. They know who the best players are, so I do tend to look a little deeper. On offense, second team, Kyron Lacey and Emory Jones on offense. That's interesting because you remember on the Biletnikoff watch list, it was C.J. Daniels and not Kyron Lacey. The SEC coaches are saying we have more faith in Kyron Lacey to be all-conference, and I actually don't blame them. This one surprised me a little. Major Burns was second-team all-conference on defense. Major is interesting because he's been around he was a highly regarded guy, started his career at Georgia, so he's well known because he's been around for a long time. But I also think maybe part of this, I don't know that the coaches look this deeply into it, but maybe part of it is that they know what that star role in Blake Baker's defense is going to be, because Major Burns really has struggled a lot in his career in coverage. That's just not his strong suit. But he's a physical point of attack player, and I think is capable of having his best collegiate year if he stays healthy. Mason Taylor was third team All-SEC tight end.
Mason Taylor!
It's so bizarre to have national analysts think so highly of Mason Taylor, but in the SEC,
Mason Taylor!
The coaches have him third team. They got Cade Prescorn from Ole Miss as the first teamer, and Oscar Delp from Georgia as the second teamer. But you could tell there's a lot of room for Mason Taylor on the upside.
Mason Taylor!
And no LSU defenders on the third team. Slade Roy was the third team snapper, and Xavier Thomas was third team return specialist. One other interesting note here. If you look at the second team specialist, you'll see Alabama kicker Graham Nicholson there. Graham Nicholson was Graham Nicholson is a transfer who just this offseason left Miami of Ohio for Alabama. Well, Miami of Ohio head coach Chuck Martin was doing an interview. I guess this is maybe with their in-house media. And he was asked, and the guy interviewing the coach asked about their place kicker, Graham Nicholson. Listen to how this interaction went.
All right, special teams, lost your kicker. Carter McLaughlin.
We didn't lose him. He's at Alabama. We know exactly.
I understand.
We know exactly
that.
where he's at. You media people, it's all pretend. Like, no, Alabama stole our kicker.
Yes,
they illegally recruited our kicker and stole him from us. And like that's a fact. But that's but we act like it's not. We live in this la world. Like, hey, let's not talk. I don't know why everybody knows what's going on. So, yeah, Alabama stole our kicker. A couple other schools tried to steal it, but then okay. What's the question?
That was, again, Miami of Ohio head coach Chuck Martin. I actually agree with him completely. And this isn't an Alabama conversation. You know, I'll have plenty of those. But I don't know why we have to pretend it's not happening. Like, why can't we call a spade a spade? Yes, there is tampering happening. A lot of times it's done through third parties to give plausible deniability, but this is what's happening throughout college football. Guys are on rosters. It happened at LSU with Lance Hurd. Lance Hurd wanted a dollar amount. LSU wasn't going to give it. His representative went and sought offers for Lance Hurd. He got it from Tennessee, so now he's at Tennessee. Like, it's not unique to Alabama or Tennessee. It's literally everybody doing it. Jamie Chatwell at Liberty accused LSU of the same. Said LSU paid C.J. Daniels $300K. Remember that quote? So everybody's doing it. I don't know why it has to be this taboo thing that we can't talk about. We all know what's happening, and we all know also that the NCAA, every time they've tried to intervene, they've been taken to court, they've lost, and so the NCAA isn't even trying to police it anymore. So just talk about it. That's what happened. That is what happened, and that's what's going to continue to happen, that everybody is doing. So I'm actually encouraged that Coach Martin was willing to be open and say that. I'm encouraged that Jamie Chadwell said it about C.J. Daniels and LSU, because I do think there's nothing wrong with having very, very open, out in the open, honest conversations about what has actually happened. There's no sense in trying to tap dance around it. This is the reality of what's happening in college football. Some people hate it. I don't care. That kid got a college kicker, got a big payday to go kick for one season at Alabama. Good for him. Stinks for Miami of Ohio. Don't care. All right. So anyway, I hope there's more coaches like that that'll be willing to speak openly about it. All right, we're brought to you by Optimize. GeneratorPeople.com, GeneratorPeople.com. Thinking about a Generac automatic home standby generator, great time to do it right now. Tropics are calm right now, but you know any day that next storm could pop up. When that storm comes, it's not a when, it's not an if, it's a when. It's an inevitability. It'll come, knock our power out. You hope it's nothing severe, but you have to prepare for the inevitability. And Optimize can help you to do it. Hey, look, you don't just call and get a generator that day. They have to go through permitting with the city. You have to call your power company to make sure that everything's safe. There's code that has to be met, like the generator has to be so many feet from a window or doors. You may be elevated on a platform. There's a lot of things that go into it. But Optimize does this every single day. All they do is sell, service, and install Generac automatic home standby generators. So if you're thinking about a generator anywhere in the 10-12 quarter, again, from Lake Charles to Slidell, anywhere in between, they'll serve you. Optimize. Go to GeneratorPeople.com, GeneratorPeople.com. That's GeneratorPeople.com. By the way, that piece I referenced from Ross Jackson over at LouisianaSports.net is up now, where Ross has a report about Foster Mora, who apparently played with a torn ligament in his ankle starting in week 3 a year ago. And that full report is up at LouisianaSports.net right now. If you want to go check it out, just go to LouisianaSports.net, LouisianaSports.net. It's right there on the homepage, LouisianaSports.net, and you can check it out. We'll have Ross with us here in about 15 minutes from right now. He was at Saints practice today, so we'll get a practice report. Ryan Kartje will be here in about 30 minutes, covers USC. And then in hour 3, our buddy Richard Dixon will be part of Eagle 98.1 Game Day's postgame show again this year. He'll be with us, so we kind of continue our LSU position series. We'll talk about tight ends with Richard Dixon coming up in hour number 3. Glad you're here. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by the Watermark Hotel and the Renaissance Hotel. 2 amazing hotel properties, Watermark downtown, the Renaissance Southtown. Of course, I also tell you about the great restaurants in both. If you're downtown at the Watermark, we're talking about the Gregory, which is fine dining, downtown Baton Rouge. Gorgeous. You walk into the lobby of the Watermark Hotel, and you can't miss it. The Gregory, this open-air dining, the charcoal grill in the charcoal oven in the lobby. So as you walk through the lobby, these amazing smells wafting through the air, a great bar area as well. It's the Gregory right there at the Watermark Hotel. And, of course, I love telling you about Tallulah inside the Renaissance. That's where we had our LouisianaSports.net launch party several weeks back. This is casual, upscale dining. It's not a hotel restaurant. It's not, chicken fingers. It is exquisite Louisiana cuisine in a fun, festive atmosphere. It's Tallulah inside the Renaissance Hotel. So be sure to check it out. The Watermark downtown and the Renaissance on Bluebonnet.
Back to school savings at Bayou Ford. $12,000 off F-150. $12,000 off the new 2024 Ford F-150. And $10,000 off Expedition. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a complimentary extended warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
All right, wrapping up hour number 1. We'll get a Saints camp report with Ross Jackson here after the top of the hour. When Brian Kelly met with reporters on Wednesday, we all know Garrett Nussmeier's entrenched as the starter. That's not a question. The legit question is what happens if, knock on Formica, something were to happen to Nussmeier. Now, my contention is if something happened to Nussmeier, your entire season is derailed because I don't think from what I've seen from any of the guys behind Garrett, none even approach the level of experience, competency, any of that. So you're in a bind if something happens to Garrett. But Brian Kelly took on that question Wednesday.
When you know that you're playing for the #2, you have to do a great job mentally. And I think that there was a little bit of a mental struggle in terms of getting in the right place and the mindset of, hey, I'm the #2. And I think a little bit of that was going on last week. I've seen improved play this week from both of those guys and Colin Hurley as well. I think Colin kind of came in thinking, well, I'm the #3. And now he's like, you know what? Why can't I throw my hat in the ring here too? So this week has been very competitive. We're not there yet, but we're making some progress, and I'm happy to report that we're seeing the kind of signs that we need from the three of those guys.
I can understand Brian Kelly touting his guys. Flatly, here's what I've seen. And I didn't see every minute and every rep of every practice he has. Ricky Collins has the most upside. He has dynamic running ability, and he's got a very lively arm. Throws a beautiful deep ball. A.J. Swan lost some weight, not very mobile, doesn't move great, and does not have a great arm. He is the more dink, dunk, pick you apart. Colin Hurley is 17 years old. Nowhere near ready to play, but has tremendous upside as well. If I had to guess, it'd be Ricky Collins. Hour 2 next.
AFR.
Love telling you about Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Energy-efficient replacement windows, beautiful entry doors, hardy plank vinyl siding. They do it all. They do it better than anyone else. They are Relief Windows. Hey, you can always check them out at their showroom on Airline Highway in Prairieville. If you go south on Airline in Prairieville, you're in Baton Rouge, you go south on Airline into Prairieville, you cross Highway 42, quarter mile on the right, can't miss it. Actually, the designer that did the LSU football operations remodel is the same designer that designed the Relief Windows corporate headquarters and showroom. So that alone makes it a sight to behold. You can check it out right there. Or go to reliefwindows.com, reliefwindows.com. You know, when you go into the showroom, one of the things I've told you about before is their 3D model technology, whereby if you're thinking about windows or doors or siding and you want to do more than look at just a flip book or little panels and strips of samples, they can show you a 3D model of a home to show you exactly what those windows or doors would look like. They do it better than anyone else. It's reliefwindows.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has back-to-school savings like $16,000 off 25 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $16,000 off. All new Bayou vehicles come with a complimentary extended warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
It's an everyday thing here. We work horses in the mornings and we work on the property during the day, and without these John Deere tractors, you know, it'd almost be impossible to keep up with the place. I've dealt with some of the other colors and stuff, and I never really got the response back that I get from John Deere, you know. We really enjoy dealing with Sunshine. They're good people. They always check on us and make sure our equipment's running, and we love them. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. Wide receiver Jahan Dotson is joining the Eagles after a trade with the Commanders. The Eagles also get a 5th-round pick. Washington gets 3 picks in that deal. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports the Falcons will sign corner A.J. Terrell to a 4-year, $81 million deal. It includes almost $66 million guaranteed. ESPN's Dan Orlovsky believes the Falcons are Super Bowl contenders.
This is a football team that has been slightly below average with relatively poor quarterback play. Kirk Cousins bringing well above average quarterback play. They're dynamically talented on offense. They got a really good offensive line. Raheem Morris' second run as a head coach, so the experience that he's gained.
Dan Orlovsky on First Take at the Little League World Series today. Right now on ESPN, Venezuela leads Japan 3-2 in the 5th. The winner goes to the International Championship game on Saturday. At 7 Eastern, also on ESPN, Henderson, Nevada, and Lake Mary, Florida play for a spot in Saturday's U.S. title game.
Hey, it's Michelle Smallman, and coming up Friday, I'll tell you which division in the NFL will be the toughest division to win. It's on Sportsman, like 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
And Mr. Toby Tom Blake. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Ryan Kartje will be with us here in about 15 minutes. He covers the USC Trojans. We'll get a closer look on LSU's Week 1 opponent here shortly. Saints are back on the practice field today. Our guy Ross Jackson, LouisianaSports.net, of course, Locked On Saints, was there. Good enough to join us for a couple of minutes. How are you, man?
Hey, buddy. Doing great. Glad to be here with you.
What can you tell us about this report you have about Foster Moreau?
Yeah, so this is a really interesting one. I had gotten from a source earlier in the day that there might be something that was going on in terms of Foster and, what happened last season and him playing through a bit of an injury and things like that. So I asked him about it in the post-practice press conference, and he went into, a surprising amount of detail about what it was that he played through, and of course gave a lot of love to the New Orleans Saints medical staff, which in other places does not get a lot of love. So it was kind of refreshing to see that. But of course, this is the guy that's had some very positive experiences with them because it's the same medical staff that helped him reach his Hodgkin's lymphoma diagnosis. Sure. But basically, during the season last year, he had missed 2 games in weeks 4 and 5. No, 3 and 4. I was right. 3 and 4 with an ankle injury following that Carolina Panthers game. And there was a tendon in his ankle that they had to build, that they kind of exhausted a whole bunch of different processes and ideas for. They built a 3D custom ankle brace to keep the tendon from, as he described it, slipping around his ankle bone, which kind of makes my leg hurt just saying that out loud. He played through that for 13 of his 15 games last season. He gives the medical staff a lot of credit for that because he wouldn't have been able to fathom a way to do it. I talked to one source that told me that there's never been a player in the NFL that's played through that specific injury. It's a pretty rare situation. Foster kind of called it a niche injury. And it just kind of goes to show you a little bit of the resilience that Foster Moreau is bringing. He got surgery in January to kind of really take care of it. So he's playing a lot more freely now, not having to worry about that anymore.
That's fantastic. What should we expect out of the tight ends? What's it look? A better way to ask it, Ross. Juwan Johnson's back. Foster, obviously healthier now. What should we expect, and what are we seeing out of the tight ends right now?
Yeah, I think so far what we're seeing is a lot of versatility. I mean, you look at kind of all the different places that Taysom Hill lines up, and we all write about that. We all talk about that. But, I mean, you look at Juwan Johnson. He played fullback. He played a little bit of halfback back in 2022 for this team, tight end, slot, out wide as well. And Boston Moreau has the ability to be able to do that as well. And the young guy that they just brought in, Dallin Holker, his entire reputation during his time at college was about, well, first of all, his catch radius, but then also his ability to be multiple and play in a bunch of different spots. And, Foster kind of talked about it today that he expects the tight end room to be multiple and for there to be many times where you're seeing two tight ends on the field. The thing that's really nice about that is that it creates a lot of disguise. Typically speaking in the NFL, a two tight end set would be a run, or kind of a run look. But with Foster Moreau, and then you've got Juwan Johnson, or maybe you go Taysom Hill, or maybe you go Dallin Holker if he's healthy and makes the roster. I don't know that you can really look at that and completely agree that that's going to be a run play. So I think that it gives you a lot of disguise in terms of what you're able to do over on the offensive side.
He's on Twitter at Ross Jackson Nola. I saw on Twitter that Payton Turner was out with a toe injury and thought I was being trolled. Is Payton Turner out with a toe injury?
Payton Turner was out with a toe injury today. So we did not see number 98 out on the field. Asked about it with Dennis Allen after practice, and the head coach updated that it was indeed, as he called it, a flare-up of his toe injury. Now, remember, that toe injury kept him out for the majority of 2023, and he's already missed a day of practice out in California with an injury to the same toe. I don't know if it was a flare-up or if he just, kind of re-injured the toe in some way. But be very curious to kind of see what this means for Payton Turner now moving forward, considering that this one is being looked at as a flare-up of his previous injury that kept him off the field for so long.
Good riddance, man. I mean, just at this point, what do you do? Like, it's what it is. Hey, but there was good news. A lot of guys returned, including Taliese Fuanga. What did we see? What do we know?
Yeah, actually, Fuanga had one of my favorite kind of plays today. He had a great pickup on an edge rusher. Just looked really good, really comfortable. So it was great to see him back in team drills. We saw a couple of other returns as well. Cornerback Rico Payton, who was kind of the star of those first two preseason games, played like one of the best corners in the NFL for this preseason. He was back for walkthroughs and individual, but didn't participate in team drills. The same thing actually for undrafted free agent wide receiver Mason Tipton, who of course was the camp darling to open up camp ahead of having to miss the preseason games. And then we also saw Lucas Patrick back after missing some of yesterday with cramping and things like that. So some pretty good returns for the Saints in addition to that, or I guess, in the face of that absence of Payton Turner. One unfortunate event, though, we did see DeMarco Jackson, the linebacker who's had a really strong camp so far, go down. He was down on one knee for a little while and then ended up being escorted out, walked off under his own power, just with the accompaniment of a trainer. Dennis Allen said that it's a calf injury, so something to keep an eye out on there.
Okay. One more schedule with the final preseason game being Sunday afternoon, and then obviously cut downs are going to follow. So what are we looking for Friday, Saturday leading up into Sunday?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me say real quick, too, Juwan Johnson also returned to team drills today. I should mention that.
Okay.
So that's good news for them. So tomorrow they'll be at the Superdome. I believe that there are still tickets available. If anybody wants to come, it is an open practice. It begins at 1 o'clock. Gates will open at noon. You can find some information about that over on LouisianaSports.net. And so they'll practice tomorrow for a couple of hours in the Superdome and then, do their typical kind of Saturday walkthrough, and then they'll be ready for their game on Sunday. They're trying to treat this week as much like replicating what it's like for them to get ready for a game in the regular season. So they're going to kind of go with their typical weekly schedule here as they get ready for a Sunday game.
All right, Saints play in the Dome Sunday against Tennessee, but practice in the Dome on Friday. It is open, as Ross mentioned. All right, man, we appreciate it. Thanks as always.
Absolutely, buddy. Take care. Stay safe. Talk to you soon.
That is Ross Jackson on Twitter at Ross Jackson Nola. Of course, check out the Locked on Saints podcast. If you want Ross audio, you get it Locked on Saints. You want Ross's written work, you get it with us at LouisianaSports.net. We're glad you're aboard with us here. Love telling you about Shawbill's Tire and Auto Service. ShawBillsTire.com. You know where to find it with locations all over South Louisiana. Maybe you need your oil changed. Shawbills. You need your tires rotated. Shawbills. Your brakes are squeaking. Shawbills. Maybe you got a check engine light on. Shawbills. Shawbills can take care of your vehicle. Of course, they're going to treat you like family. And if you do need new tires, Shawbills is going to do what they've done since 1968. They're going to sell you the best tires on the road at the cheapest price possible. So Go to ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com. You can schedule service. You can shop tires. You can look at all the great deals that they have. Just go to the promotions tab at the top of the page. You'll see every deal they have for all of their tires right now at ShawBillsTire.com. ShawBills, where we keep you rolling. I don't mean to be so dismissive of Payton Turner. I mean, I don't think it's the guy's fault that he's injured. And I'm not criticizing the guy for an injury. I mean, I think it's a delicate balance there, man. Like there's a difference between being injured because you're not taking care of your body. I think that's part of the frustration, say, that Dennis Allen has with Kendre Miller, which is to say you go out there on the first day of camp, you're not even in pads, and in the first team drill, you pull a hammy. Well, for an elite athlete going through a light workout, like you shouldn't be pulling your hamstring if you've worked out, if you're in shape, if you're hydrated, if you're stretched out. And that's the expectation when you're a pro. You know, I don't know the deal with Payton Turner, man. I don't know how you get a friggin' toe injury that lingers forever. But it's just so hard to stomach whenever you're talking about investing a first-round pick in a guy and you're just getting nothing out of him because he can't stay healthy. And it's things like a toe that just cost you that resource. And whatever. I'm almost at the point where, like, you realize it was a complete miss. It's a bust. It's just, if you get anything, literally anything out of it right now, that's just mitigating the loss. So you take it. All right. It's after further review. We're glad you're with us. Richard Dickson's here in 1 hour. Excited to talk to Rich. He'll be back on Eagle 98.1 Game Day, post-game with Charles Hannegriff this fall for LSU games on Eagle 98.1. And we've been having our series where we talk to former Tiger greats about their position groups on this year's team. Justin Vincent was here yesterday talking about the running backs. We've talked DBs with Brandon Taylor, linebackers with Derry Beckwith. We talked with Will Blackwell about the offensive line. We talked with Eddie Kennison about the receivers. We've had a lot of fun doing that, catching up with a lot of Tiger greats. And we'll look at the tight ends with Richard Dickson. By the way, Richard Dickson, former number 18. And I believe today we might get word this evening on LSU's next number 18. I know a lot of people have anticipated that. I was told earlier today that the team is going to practice in Tiger Stadium tonight. They're expected to do the LED light show and all that stuff tonight as well. So if you're around Tiger Stadium this evening, you might see the LED light show going on with the new lights. And I think we'll probably find out who number 18 is after it's announced to the team. So everybody's got their guess. I know Hunt has a piece up at LouisianaSports.net examining the number 18s. Do you have a pick? I think Josh Williams is the guy.
You took it.
Josh,
yeah, that's what I was going to say.
That was my pick as well.
Yeah, I don't...
Makes sense.
Hunt mentioned, the other ones he mentioned as possibilities were Nussmeier, Jacoby and Guillory, and I think Greg Penn.
I didn't think about Greg Penn.
I mean, you could have an offense-defense. They've done that in the past. I don't know what they'll do, but Josh Williams seems to make the most sense. So we'll see what direction they go. All right, it's after further review. Let's not get a break. Let's head out to UCLA. Let's head out to USC. Well, UCLA and USC, they're both in Los Angeles from L.A. If you didn't know that. All right, let's go to break.
AFR.
Man, I love telling you about Action Industries. Check them out online. You can check them out on LinkedIn. ActionIndinc.com. ActionIndinc.com for Action Industries. Hey, a lot of times, if you're a plant manager, maybe you're a maintenance manager, a turnaround coordinator, maybe you have like one of those mega projects going on, right? Those $200 million projects. And you've hired the mega contractor to come in, and maybe you need to supplement the workforce. Well, Action Industries can help with that as well. Look, they're never going to bid on your $200 million project. They're not built to do that. But if you have a smaller project and you don't feel like you're served or like you're a priority to a major company, that 100-person job at Action Industries, that's their sweet spot, and you are their number one priority. That's what they've been doing for nearly half a century. It's Action Industries. Check them out online on LinkedIn. Action Industries, proud partner of LSU Athletics.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ashner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ashner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
LSU and USC are going to open up the season out in Vegas a week from Sunday. Excited about that. Ryan Kartje covers the Trojans for the LA Times. Good enough to join us for a couple of minutes here. Good to talk again, Ryan. Thanks for the time, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Our pleasure. Hey, I saw your tweet with the Lincoln Riley quote about NIL. I'll read it for our audience. Said, where USC stood on NIL at the start, quote, you don't want to go into a gunfight with a knife. In the beginning, we were going to a gunfight with a toy sword. How much has that changed from the beginning to now? And assuming that number has gone up, how much expectation and pressure ratchets up on Lincoln Riley this year?
Well, first off, just NIL-wise, I think Lincoln is right when he says, when he characterizes the situation that he stepped into NIL-wise. It was, among the most poor of any blue blood program in the country, and a lot of that had to do with just the previous leadership at the university and in the athletic department. But, going forward, it's kind of hard to quantify completely without seeing the numbers, without knowing how many guys have said yes, how many guys have said no, specifically because of NIL. But it's pretty clear that it has improved. The question is just whether it's improved to the level that USC needs it to be to match up with, the Michigans, the Ohio States, the top of the top in the Big Ten. In terms of Lincoln Riley, I certainly think he's facing, the most important season he's had at USC yet. Not only for reasons of NIL and attracting players to come here, but at this point he just needs to make a good impression in this new conference, and the excuses have kind of run out on the defensive end. So he he was able to run a defensive coordinator search himself. Really took their time, interviewed a lot of people, and settled on Danton Lynn from UCLA. And at this point, there's a lot riding on that hire. I think they're going to be patient, but at the same time, they need to show some sort of improvement. That's not to say that Lincoln is on the hot seat by any means. I think even just financially, that's probably impossible at this point. But I think the hot seat could turn up pretty hot if things weren't to go as they hoped this season.
So obviously defensive improvement is a giant part of that, as you noted. And it's so interesting because we're having the same conversations here around Brian Kelly and LSU with the defense after they were so bad a year ago. Best you can tell through 3 weeks of fall camp, how much better are they?
Again, that's a tough thing to quantify when we see such little of practice itself, but it really does seem like at least the secondary, even just by sheer numbers and past tape of guys who have transferred into the program, you have to think that group is going to be better. It's at least deeper. So, I think we'll see some pretty massive improvement there. Now, the question is the defensive line. There's not a ton of depth there, and they don't necessarily have someone with the talent to match Bear Alexander, who was great in last year's defense, albeit inconsistent. But, if a few people can step up in the linebacking core on the defensive line, I think you are going to see a pretty massive improvement. Now, does that make this, any better than an average defense? I don't know if that's possible, just given how low it was a year ago. But, even just an average defense when paired with a standard Lincoln Riley offense, you're talking about, being in the playoff conversation.
It's just so interesting to hear. I mean, Ryan, I've said this so much to our audience. You could have a conversation about LSU or USC, and you could just redact the team names or the players' names, and it sounds like you're having the same it would be indiscernible which team you're discussing. So,
and we haven't even brought up the quarterback position.
We're going to get there.
We're going to get. It's frightening similarity.
I mean, down to the fact that they're both 6'2", 200 pounds, signed in the class of 2021 as 4 stars, sat for 3 years behind a Heisman winner, started the bowl game. I mean, it's like the same thing. Which makes this fascinating. But on defense, where would you say, what level of the defense are they maybe most convinced that they're better, and where maybe does the biggest question linger defensively?
I think it's pretty well accepted within the building that the secondary is going to be significantly better. But I also think that was probably the area that, was at its best last year as well when compared to the others. So I do think we're going to see some improvement there. And, you're probably going to face maybe not as dynamic a quarterbacks in the Big Ten. That is one thing that is a little different than the Pac-12. But that said, I think, Dan Lynn actually said today he thinks the defensive line is deeper at USC than it was for him at UCLA. I don't know about that, just in my opinion. Now, maybe some of these young defensive linemen step up, but I do think there's the most questions swirling around that. And ultimately, that's really going to be tested by a conference like the Big Ten or a team like LSU.
He's Ryan Kartje on Twitter at Ryan_Kartje, Kartje, covers USC for the LA Times. If you want to give him a follow, getting close to LSU and Southern Cal. So if you flip it around, we're talking about Garrett Nussmeier. You all are talking about Miller Moss. I think the answer that you give is going to be almost identical to what we'd say about Nussmeier, but how are the collective feeling there about Miller Moss entering his second career start, but obviously his first opener to start?
Yeah, it's kind of been a foregone conclusion that he would be the quarterback just after that 6-touchdown Holiday Bowl performance back in December. So I don't think anyone's surprised by that. It was interesting to see that Lincoln Riley made a point of saying how close the quarterback competition was with UNLV transfer Jaden Mayava, and I know for a fact that they've been pleased with his progress. So it is interesting to see Riley compare the two of them, but I think with Miller Moss, you're getting a guy who's been in the system for a long time, and sometimes with Riley's system, it takes a minute for all of that to click. So I do think just that experience and the poise that he brings to the position is going to be a huge asset. Now, he's not Caleb Williams at all. Very different skill set. So I think the offense in turn is going to look a lot different. I think we might see the ball out faster. We might see more timing-based stuff, and a little bit less focus on extending plays. So that will just change the general tenor of the offense, and we haven't completely seen what that's going to look like. But I do think as a caretaker type who can have some big games like he did in the Holiday Bowl, Miller Moss is definitely going to be a capable quarterback in the Big Ten, and in the Big Ten that might actually make you a top 5 in-conference quarterback.
That's very, very true with the traditional style of play, but we'll see if there's any evolution there as well. What about the skill players there at SC? Are there new names this year through camp that, if you're an LSU fan going into the game a week from Sunday, that you should know?
There are, actually. There's especially in the receiver room, there's a lot of exciting players who, started to break out towards the end of last year and now have really taken the step forward. Obviously, everyone knows Zachariah Branch, but I think, he certainly build for a bigger role and to take a leap as a more complete receiver, which will be fascinating to watch. But one guy I'm really watching closely is Jacoby Lane. You're talking about a 6'4" outside receiver who does great on jump balls and, is really a red zone threat in a way that USC hasn't had probably since Drake London. So I think he, could ultimately be someone who finishes with double-digit touchdowns this year in a breakout season. Would not be surprised. And then there's Mekhi Lemon, another, more of a slot type, can also play outside, but will certainly get a ton of catches. Has the trust of Miller Moss. All three of those guys, are sophomores who I think are kind of ready to take that second-year leap. And, on the more experienced level, people haven't really been talking about Woody Marks, the transfer running back from Mississippi State, but he was on NFL radars coming out of Mississippi State last season, decided to transfer to Lincoln Riley's offense, and is kind of a perfect fit as, this very versatile all-purpose pass-catching back. And I think, especially when you're talking about Miller Moss, getting rid of the ball quickly, making smart decisions, being able to throw to a guy like that who can make contested catches and also do a lot of damage in space, he could end up being a very dangerous weapon this season.
Ryan, seldom do people ever talk about special teams. Here, it was so good for so many years, but the last 2 years it's been very bad. And to the point where it actually cost LSU the Florida State game in New Orleans a couple of years ago when they had a PAT blocked and they muffed a couple of punts, and it's been bad. How are the Trojans in the third phase?
Well, so this is actually the first season ever that Lincoln Riley will have a special teams coordinator, an official one.
Okay.
That's kind of been a point of consternation among fans a little bit since he came on board. I don't really think that's going to make much of a difference. He's basically had a special teams coordinator, just not an actual title in Ryan Doherty. But the real question, I think, is the kicking game. Last year was very inconsistent. We don't know yet who the starting kicker is going to be. Presumably will be Michael Lance, a transfer from Georgia Southern, who was brought in. But that could, they left a lot of points on the board last year by missed kicks, missed makeable kicks. So I think that'll make a big difference. But then you talk about a guy like Zachariah Branch, who was a freshman All-American as a punt returner last year, having another season. He's already the best punt returner in college football. So, you could certainly get some vibes of the Reggie Bush days on punt returns, at least. But USC has the ability to do some damage on special teams, but the kicking game is definitely still a question mark.
Yeah. It's just so, Xavion Thomas was a freshman All-America returner at Mississippi State who transferred to LSU. So now you get former freshman All-America returners. I mean, isn't this so bizarre? Just the eerie similarities with these two teams. It's very difficult to find the spot on either roster where you go, okay, there's the major difference. There's the spot where this team is decidedly better or decidedly worse. Do you have any answer to that?
I don't, and I'll take it even to another level. I mean, these teams haven't played in a long time. But the last time they were sort of pinned to get against each other in the public eye, was 20 years ago when they were both also named national champions. So they have a lot in common for sure. I do think I would be curious, if LSU fans feel the same way about Brian Kelly that they seem to feel about Lincoln Riley. But it's an interesting mixed bag of feelings, I think, at this point after a few years.
Maybe a difference there that Kelly's on pretty solid ground here. But the expectation is championships, and that breakthrough has got to come. We'll see if maybe it comes this year for either one of these teams. Ryan Kartje, LA Times. We appreciate it, man. Thanks so much for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, anytime.
I'm in. Be well. It's After Further Review. We're brought to you by the Williamson Eye Center, 924-2020. Oh, I love the new graphics, too. Look at that. Our new game graphics. If you're watching, well, shout out if you are watching the show. If you're on YouTube, please smash that like button. Thanks to everybody watching on WBTR as well. But if you're not watching, we have that's a graphics package, right, Paul? There's a company that we subscribe to for the graphics package. So if you're seeing the graphic very professionally and awesome done, I guess we got the new ones. That's what they'll look like for this year, which is pretty cool. Anyway, watch us on YouTube or on WBTR. You can see it. What was I going to talk about? Oh, Williamson Eye Center. And if you go to the Williamson Eye Center, you could see that beautiful graphics package in crystal clear 2020. Williamson Eye Center. Call 924-2020, 924-2020, or go to williamsoneye.com. That's williamsoneye.com for the Williamson Eye Center. Man, I love talking about Dr. Blake because he changed my life. And I don't say that loosely. I don't say that flippantly. If you have had vision issues in your life, you understand what it's like to wake up and not be able to see, to have to squint to see the clock, to fumble for your glasses on the nightstand, to travel and have to pack all of your contact and contact solution and cases, an extra pair of contact lens, and to worry when you go swim about getting splashed in the eyes, it's going to knock a contact out. This is all the stuff. Well, I'd never have to worry about that again. I mean, to the point where it's like seeing HD TV for the first time, you'll never go back. You'll never go back to standard def. Now that I see 2020, better than 2020 actually, I'll never wear contacts or glasses again. If as I age, I have other vision issues, I'll go to Dr. Blake Williams and say, what can you do for me to make sure I never have to wear contacts or glasses again? It's the Williamson Eye Center. They've been doing that for 75 years. 924-2020, 924-2020, or williamsoneye.com. All right, y'all, it's After Further Review. Got Tigers and the Pros here in about 15 minutes from right now. Richard Dickson in 45 minutes. Otter will be here in hour 3 for Otter Locks. A lot of you ask, by the way, about Otter Locks, which of course, Jimmy comes on the show every day and gives us his best bets of the day. One of the things we're going to start doing, because people ask all the time, hey, can you post them or can you tweet them? One of the things we're going to start doing is getting Otter Locks and putting the picks out on LouisianaSports.net and on the socials every day, so that you can get them a bit earlier if you're not here, like right at the end of the show. So we'll get that, hopefully start that maybe next week here with the start of the football season. All right, it's After Further Review. We'll knock out a quick break, come back. Why Cam Jordan says Saints fans should boo Sean Payton when the Broncos come to the Dome. We'll talk about it next. It's AFR.
AFR.
Last Friday, had a great time over at Duplessis Builders. Their new showroom on Airline Highway in Gonzales. You're going south on Airline out of Baton Rouge, go into Gonzales. It's on the right. You can't miss it. It's actually on Duplessis Lane. No joke. It's not named after they just happened to buy a location that's on Duplessis Lane. You cannot miss that. It's right next to Rouse's. It's Duplessis Builders. Of course, you can check them out online at duplessisbuilders.net, duplessisbuilders.net. If you're thinking about a pool, y'all remember the timetable. You know, if you just think about all of the design process that goes into it, financing, if that's the route you're going, that can take 4, 6, 8 weeks, depending on how quickly you want to move. And then the actual pool build is another couple of months. So you really want to start now so you're done by the start of the year and your grass is all grown back. So whenever the weather's nicer, it's time to swim, boom, it's completely finished. duplessisbuilders.net.
Back to school savings at Bayou Ford. $12,000 off F-150. $12,000 off the new 2024 Ford F-150. And $10,000 off Expedition. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a complimentary extended warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
There's nothing chill about a hot, sweaty line. Unless you add Mountain Cold Refreshment. Coors Light. Choose chill.
Elevate brand visibility, ignite customer engagement with the power of radio and digital advertising combined. Guarantee Digital Media brings the two together as a trusted media partner in Louisiana for nearly a century. Claim your free digital audit at guaranteemedia.com.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the
After further review with Matt Moscona.
So Kay Adams was at Saints training camp on Wednesday. She has a show called Up and Adams. I mistook her for what's her name? Kate what?
Katie Nolan.
Katie Nolan. I don't know why I keep wanting to say Kate. Anyway, I thought that's who this was. But it's not. It's a completely different person.
Completely different person.
Completely different human. Is Kay Adams, is she at NFL Network, or does she just do her own? She was.
She used to host Good Morning Football.
That's why I don't, because I don't ever watch NFL Network unless if I'm watching games on NFL Network. Okay. So Kay Adams, not Katie Nolan.
No, different people.
Different people, two different people. Goes to Saints camp, sits down with Derek Carr. Derek Carr. This happened.
Did you know who leads the NFL in game-winning drives since 2016?
I'm not going to say myself. Matthew Stafford.
Derek Carr. Derek Carr does. You know how many you have?
I don't know.
Since 2016. I want to guess. Give me a guess.
That was my third year. I don't know. 20?
30.
30?
You have 30 unbelievable game-winning drives.
But Madden has me as not clutch. I don't understand.
So this is what I want to ask you.
It hurts my heart.
Why is that? Why does nobody? I know you're going to laugh and be jovial and humble.
Yeah.
Why does no one talk about that? 30, the most.
I don't know. Maybe it's because they tell you should have been winning those games. Who knows? I don't know.
I mean, like, why would you do that? I'm okay doing interviews and having fun and stuff. But, like, Derek Carr, he just can't help himself, man. Can he? He's just, he's been around long enough that he should know better. Like, I've been around media a long time. I know how interviews like that go. And she set it up in a fun way, and he kind of played along, and I get that part of it. You could play along. But you know that commercial where the guy is teaching people not to be their parents?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
I like those.
How
Those are
not to
good.
be your parents.
Yeah.
Stop you from becoming your parents, or those that, like, I feel like Derek Carr needs that. I need to take Derek Carr to school. Like, he has to go to Professor Scone's academy of how to handle and how to answer media questions. I think this could be helpful for him.
Could be.
Like, for example, whenever you have your can you play the little jovial part at the beginning again, Muse?
Sure.
Did you know who leads the NFL in game-winning drives since 2016?
I'm not going to say myself.
Pause it. Okay, so he knows the answer. He knows it's him.
Right.
He knows it's him. I'm not going to say myself. Matthew Stafford. Okay, pick it up.
Stafford.
Derek Carr.
Oh.
Derek Carr
All right,
does.
so pause it. So, okay. Like, he knows the answer. Okay, he played along. I mean, look, and she set him up. And look, there's two things you can do there. So I commend Derek. Good job, Derek. You could have embarrassed her by not playing the game, or you could have fun and play the game. So we're good. We're good here. We're good.
Yeah.
So far, so good, Derek. Now pick it up.
How many you have?
I don't know.
Since 2016, I want to guess. Give me a guess.
That was my third year. I don't know. 20?
30.
30?
You have 30 unbelievable game-winning drives.
But Madden has me as not clutch.
Okay, pause it. Okay. He's stepping on her. But Madden says not clutch. This is where you start to become your parents, as we refer to the commercial, right? This is where you go take the selfie with LL Cool J. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what's happening here. This is where you're already planning your exit before you've even gotten there. That's what Derek Carr is doing there. So Derek, can we just rewind the tape a little bit, Muse, to where she says 30? Can we pick it up there? Yeah.
30 unbelievable game-winning drives.
But Madden has me as not clutch. I don't understand.
So this is what I want to...
Madden has me as not clutch. I don't understand. All right, pick up her question. So first of all, Derek, in Professor Scone's class, you redact that. When she says 30, he said, yeah, it's hard to believe it's even been that many.
It hurts my heart.
Why is that? Why does nobody... I know you're going to laugh and be, jovial and humble.
Yeah.
Why does no one talk about that? 30, the most.
I don't know. Maybe it's because they tell you should have been winning those games. Who knows? I don't know.
That's the setup to complement your teammates and your coaches. And then you come across as the good guy. That's when you say in Professor Scone's class, well, first, you know what else helps? Being self-deprecating. People like it when you're self-deprecating.
Yep.
You say, like when I told the A&M people, I look like a thumb. I do look like a thumb. I can own that. Derek can say, well, we were trailing in those games, so I didn't have us ahead, so I had to be in a spot to be able to lead back. So it's self-deprecating, right? And they say, well, I played with a lot of great players who ran great routes and got open lines that protected. We had good coaches that called the right plays, and we executed. It's been very fortunate to be in those situations. Next. And then idiots like me don't sit here and critique you, Derek. I feel like I'm going to charge an online course. He's got enough money. He's robbing the Saints. Maybe he can give me some of that money to teach him some media training. The Madden thing. What?
Yeah.
Madden says I'm not clutch. You're not clutch. You threw for 300 yards in the fourth quarter against the Rams when you were down by 76. You are, as you have been ordained here and forevermore, our emperor of empty yards. Oh, man. I am so excited about bringing this back. It's back. It's back.
Paul.
I can't believe this is the first time throughout this entire camp that we have summoned our emperor. I cannot believe the graphics back, the horns are back. Muse, I just got excited about this Saints season for the first time in camp. This is literally right now the most organic, innate joy that I've felt in talking about my beloved New Orleans Saints so far in this training camp. I have no hope for the Saints this year. I have no hope for Dennis Allen. He's going to get fired. I don't think they're going to be very good. I think they're a 5 or 6 win team. I think Derek Carr is not a good player. But just looking at that graphic, hearing you laugh, playing the horns, just got me excited for this year.
I wasn't ready for the graphic. That was good.
Which graphic? The Emperor of Empty Yards graphic?
That's the one. That's the graphic, yep.
Yeah.
Paul was so stealth with that too,
he
man.
had it ready. Oh, Paulie had it ready. All right. I might or might not have people who cover the New Orleans Saints texting me laughing right now.
Well, look, if we can bring smiles to people's faces in these trying times.
Madden says please save that forever. Madden says in my clutch. Say that. Lock and key. All right, it's after further review. Muse will do Tigers and the Pros next.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. Go to getgordon.com, getgordon.com. Better yet, how about you try to win up to 2 G's in prizes from Gordon McKernan and Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. It's the Gordon McKernan Design My Billboard contest. Look, you drive up and down any street in this town or this state, you're going to see Gordon McKernan billboards. You want to design the next one? You can, and you can win up to $2,000 in prizes. It's the billboard design competition. Go to getgordon.com/billboards. Getgordon.com/billboards. Submit your design. You have until September the 9th to do so, and you can win up to $2,000 in prizes and see your billboard design on one of Gordon's billboards somewhere around town. So it's really easy. Go to getgordon.com/billboards, getgordon.com/billboards. And remember, if you've been injured in an accident, get Gordon and get it done.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
It's an everyday thing here. We work horses in the mornings and we work on the property during the day, and without these John Deere tractors, it'd almost be impossible to keep up with the place. I've dealt with some of the other colors and stuff, and I never really got the response back that I get from John Deere, We really enjoy dealing with Sunshine. They're good people. They always check on us and make sure our equipment's running, and we love them. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There's nothing chill about a hot, sweaty line. Unless...
After further review with Matt Moscona.
All right, wrapping up hour number 2. We got Richard Dixon along in about 25 minutes. Looking forward to talking some tight ends with the former LSU great. Right now, Muso, Tigers in the pros.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
It is once again Paul Skeen Shove Day. He's on the bump for the Pittsburgh Pirates tonight. Looking for win number 8 on the year is Paul Skeens. ERA just over 2. He's been fantastic, but there has been some changes in your Rookie of the Year odds.
Saw that.
Jackson Merrill from the San Diego Padres, plays center field for the Padres, is now your favorite. Go back to July 24th, Matt. Paul Skeens was minus 5,000. Jackson Merrill was plus 1,400. That is flipped.
Wish I had taken some of that action.
Paul Skeens plus 120. Jackson Merrill minus 170.
I mean, plus 120 for Skeens feels like a
hammer
bet right now.
Yeah, I mean, you have to.
Plus money when he was at one point minus 5,000. I mean, they stink.
They're awful.
The only question if he doesn't win it is if they shut him down.
Yeah,
because they stink.
Yeah, because they're not going to go to the playoffs. They're going to be a wild card team,
and they stink.
And not only that, when he goes out and dominates the Reds tonight, those odds could flip again. So I mean,
that's true.
That price might not be there for a very long time.
That's good. Ooh, I'm going to do it.
There you go. While you do that, I'll tell everybody about how the Cleveland Browns traded Cade York today to the Washington Commanders for a conditional 2025 7th-round pick. Been a kind of like a merry-go-round of kickers for the Commanders so far. This is the 3rd kicker they've acquired since May. Of course, York, drafted in the 4th round out of LSU by the Browns, was awesome as a rookie, really struggled last year. And now we'll play with Jaden Daniels over there in Washington.
Got to make the team, but yes.
Yes, got to make the team. But if he does, he'll play with Jaden Daniels. Minor League Baseball to get you caught up with Dylan Cruz last night.
Heard of him.
4 for 5.
Oh, really?
For the Red Wings.
What happened on that 5th at bat?
He got out.
He stinks.
Had an RBI, scored a run, also stole 2 bases. His first 4-hit game so far in AAA. He is really, really heating up. I'm convinced that Trey Morgan could step into the Tampa Bay Rays lineup today and hit 300. He's just that hot.
Yeah, he controls the bat. He's great.
2 for 2 last night. 3 RBI. One of the RBI came on a long single. Speaking of controlling the bat, opposite field, goes to the base of the wall. I mean, we saw it over and over again at LSU. 2 games so far in AA. He's hitting 600. He's hitting 600. He's in fuego. Pardon me. Riley Cooper. Okay, Riley Cooper, 5 shutout innings last night, 6 punch-outs in his start. Got his 5th win of the season, didn't walk anybody. And how about this? Nate Ackenhausen. Made his debut, professional debut last night. He's in the Royals, what they call the, professional development. So I guess it's like the rookie league.
Yeah, like rookie ball.
Yeah. Scoreless frame in his professional debut. Little inning and double play.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Little soft liner to short.
How about that? Real good. Real good for Nate. Nasty Nate. That's Tigers in the Pros.
Presented by Supper Club. SupperClubBTR.com. Get your reservations, y'all. SupperClubBTR.com. They're opening here in 5 minutes. You want to get over to Supper Club tonight? Great chance to do it. It's Thursday. How about you get the weekend started early over at Supper Club? Try one of those new menu items. I tell you all the time, the perception, one of the things that I've worked so hard to do for a lot of the time I've been able to talk to Supper Club is, oh, it's just impossible to get in, or you have to have a reservation, or you have to be a member. Listen, they stay pretty booked. It is hard to get a reservation, but it's open seating at the bar. So if you get off of work and you go early, yeah, you can pop in, you can grab a couple of bar stools. They may even have a table in the bar area open where you can enjoy dinner, or they have a cancellation. You can get in and have a table for dinner. You got to think about it. Remember, Supper Club's a great spot. You want to have maybe that business dinner here on a Thursday, client in town, or you want to go close some business. There's no place better. The fun vibe with the elegance of Supper Club, the best meal you'll have in Baton Rouge, all the amazing selection of cocktails and wines and spirits. It's right there at Supper Club. I mean, look, you can have meals that you couldn't have anywhere else in the world. I mean, their Omi beef is only available at 3 restaurants in America, 2 in New York and Supper Club in Baton Rouge. You haven't been yet, what you waiting on? SupperClubBTR.com. SupperClubBTR.com. All right. SportsCenter's coming up. We get you caught up on national headlines. In that interview with Kay Adams, Dennis Allen did kind of hint at maybe a different role for Taysom Hill. I want to talk about that and Richard Dixon in about 20 minutes. Don't you move. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by First South Farm Credit, FirstSouthLand.com, FirstSouthLand.com, FirstSouthLand.com. It's that easy. Thinking of buying land, your first call needs to be to First South Farm Credit. You start at the website. Go to FirstSouthLand.com. Remember, first, your first call, first in agriculture, First South Farm Credit. Since 1916, y'all, First South Farm Credit has been doing one thing. Through world wars, through the Great Depression, through economic upticks and downturns, they've been there. The turn of the century, and doing one thing better than anyone else, helping Louisianians buy land. So, you want to buy land in Louisiana? Agriculture, recreational property, 20 acres to build your dream home. First call should be to First South Farm Credit. Log on to FirstSouthLand.com. That's FirstSouthLand.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has back-to-school savings like $16,000 off 25 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $16,000 off. All new Bayou vehicles come with a complimentary extended warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
It's an everyday thing here. We work horses in the mornings and we work on the property during the day, and without these John Deere tractors, it'd almost be impossible to keep up with the place. I've dealt with some of the other colors and stuff, and I never really got the response back that I get from John Deere, We really enjoy dealing with Sunshine. They're good people. They always check on us and make sure our equipment's running, and we love them. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ashner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ashner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown with breaking news. Scott Service is out as manager of the Mariners. In mid-June, Seattle had a 10-game lead in the AL West, but since then, they've gone 20-33, falling back to 500 for the season. Baseball finals today, the Cardinals shut out the Brewers 3-0. Miles Michaelis and 3 relievers combined on a 3-hitter. The Cubs beat the Tigers 10-2 at Wrigley. Miguel Amaya drives in 5, including a grand slam. The Reds signed first baseman Dominic Smith, who was cut earlier this week by the Red Sox. The new college football season kicks off Saturday. 10th-ranked Florida State against Georgia Tech in Dublin. ESPN's Kirk Herbstreit says it's the Seminoles' debut for quarterback DJ Uiagalelei.
Now I feel like he's going back into kind of like what he did at Clemson, where they're going to have to be able to be a team that relies on him to spread people out and make plays with all the skill that they have. And I just can't wait to see how he plays. I think the Clemson experience really humbled him. I think he went out to Corvallis, put in that work.
Kirk Herbstreit on College Game Day.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Looking for a career you'll love with flexibility, great pay and benefits, and one of the country's top workplaces? Come join their growing team. Go to progressive.com/careers and apply online today.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, Matt!
Hey, shut up, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Musso. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there, make it a good one. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you're driving home with us. Richard Dickson in 15 minutes. Excited to talk tight ends with former number 18 LSU tight end Richard Dickson. Last hour, we referenced the interview Kay Adams did. She was from Up in Adams. Kay Adams was at Saints camp on Wednesday. She sat down with Dennis Allen, Derek Carr, Cam Jordan, Demario Davis, some wide-ranging interviews, and they were fun. A couple of things that stood out, though. While Kay Adams was talking to Dennis Allen, they brought up Taysom Hill, and Taysom Hill's always going to be an interesting conversation. 8 years in the NFL, he has been a one of one, quite honestly. I mean, there have been players that have done multiple things, but none quite like what Taysom does. Seldom do you see someone that lines up as a tailback, as an H-back, as a tight end, as a wide receiver, as a quarterback, as a gunner, the personal protector on punt team. I mean, he's done it all, which makes him truly a one-of-one type player. And Kay Adams was asking about Taysom Hill, in particular, him lining up at fullback in Kubiak's offense, which is something we've talked a lot about because of how the perception is they use Kyle Juszczyk in San Francisco.
I'm really excited to see what he's doing with
Taysom Hill.
Why is he playing fullback?
He's doing everything with him, because Taysom Hill can do everything.
No, but fullback was not on my bingo card, Coach.
Yeah,
what is he looking like at fullback?
That's what creativity does. You bring in some new thoughts, some new ideas. They see the player in a different way. I think sometimes when you do the same thing over and over, sometimes you can just get caught in that rut of this is what this guy does.
Mm-hmm.
And he's more than just a quote-unquote Wildcat quarterback.
That much we've seen. As we alluded to, he runs the ball out of the backfield, he catches passes, he blocks punts, he does all that sort of stuff. But the conversation took a very interesting turn because Kay Adams then asked a very pointed question of Dennis Allen, who is a defensive-minded coach.
Why won't you put him on defense?
I've thought about that.
Tell me about that.
Early on, we kind of thought about, making him a Sam linebacker.
Oh, my God.
No, I'm not
No
kidding.
way.
We talked about that.
Who's we?
Well, we on defense, all right. But the head coach at the time was like, he wasn't giving up anything. So
Got it. But you're the head coach. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but now we got him doing so many things now. Fullback, runner. There's only so many ball plays a guy can play.
One more. I have an interesting follow-up about Taysom on defense and some perspective that I'm getting to, but one more real quick.
Where would you put him on defense?
I'd play him at Sam linebacker. Wow. And I'd rush him about 50% of the time.
He would kill people, I feel like.
6'2", 221. It plays. Like Taysom could be a good Sam linebacker. And, so I started looking today for some perspective and some context. Like, have we actually seen two-way guys in the NFL? And what pretty consistently comes back are guys that played both a position, either offense or defense, and then special teams. Like Devin Hester, who went into the Hall of Fame as a kick returner, a return specialist, but also played receiver. Patrick Peterson has been a return specialist in his career and played cornerback. Charles Woodson was another example as such. But as I dug into this, there are examples of guys who played both sides of the ball in the NFL. Now, look, from time to time, you see like the refrigerator Perry, right? The 300-pound lineman who gets the fat guy touchdown. That's not what I'm talking about, because there are examples out, like Dontari Poe did that. There's examples of that. Didn't Jason Kelsey score a touchdown? Like, didn't he catch a pass? I'm pretty sure I saw that one. But I noticed, as I started researching this earlier today, one of the most evident was Mike Vrabel. So Mike Vrabel played in 206 career games as a linebacker. And while Mike Vrabel was a great linebacker for the New England Patriots, he also scored 11 NFL touchdowns. And I'd kind of forgotten about this because Mike Vrabel was a guy that the Patriots used not just like as a fat guy touchdown, but he was actually a very athletic guy who was talented and good enough to play in the red zone and be a very competent weapon for them, not just a guy who was on the field in trick play packages type things. Mike Vrabel was one. Another one of note was Julian Edelman. So Julian Edelman, we remember, of course, was played some quarterback and running back in college, became a receiver with the New England Patriots, but also played 91 career defensive snaps. That's not a ton of defensive snaps, but that's enough to be notable, right? And we're not saying, like, when we talk about this in context of Taysom Hill, we're not talking about Taysom Hill being like playing every snap on offense and every snap on defense, but you heard Dennis Allen say it like, I'd put him at Sam linebacker and I'd rush him every play. What if you got into a pass rush situation? Could you put Taysom Hill on the field? Like, pretty clearly, yeah. I mean, like, I could bring up examples of like Cordell Stewart, who played, was slash. He ran the ball and threw the ball and caught the ball. And like with the Steelers back in the day, But that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about moving around on the offense like Taysom does, because we see that. Troy Brown was another one. Troy Brown had 557 career receptions as an NFL receiver. He also made 39 tackles, had 5 pass breakups, and 3 interceptions. So he was a two-way guy that played defensive back for New England as well. Speaking of New England, there were times in his career where Randy Moss did that, where they would put Randy Moss deep in the secondary on the end of half plays or around the red zone. If you needed to have a big long arm safety on a long pass, a guy who had great ball skills, Randy Moss did that. So we have seen very prominent players in the NFL who are offensive skill guys have defensive situations where they played, or defensive players who, like Mike Vrabel, who had offensive packages built for them. So I don't know if the conversation with Kay Adams and Dennis Allen was just meant to be in jest or whatever, and she kind of stumbled down that road with him as they talked about it. Maybe he lobbied Sean Payton about using Taysom Hill on defense. But very clearly there's precedent to say, look, you don't have to put him on defense for 20 snaps a game, but what about situationally as a pass rusher 3 times a game? If he gets you off the field on a third down, okay. I mean, think about Zach Bond. The Saints used a third-round pick on Zach Bond, who was a great pass rusher at Wisconsin. It never materialized here, but he was a guy who was nothing more than a situational pass rusher. What if you have that in Taysom Hill? I mean, I'm not sitting there pounding the table saying you got to do it, but why wouldn't you do it? If a really good defensive coach like Dennis Allen, and Dennis Allen is a really good defensive coach, thinks he could do it. I mean, can you play that again? Which one was that again? Number 3. Can you play number 3? Just listen to the enthusiasm in Dennis Allen's voice when he talks about playing Taysom Hill on defense.
Why don't you put him on defense?
I thought about that.
Tell me about that.
Early on, we kind of thought about, making him a Sam linebacker.
Oh, my God.
No, I'm not kidding.
No way.
We talked about that.
Who's we?
Well, we on defense, all right. But the head coach at the time was like, he wasn't giving up anything. So
got it. But you're the head coach. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but now we got him doing so many things now. Fullback, runner. There's only so many ball plays the guy can play.
Oh, that's not the one. I'm sorry. It was the shorter one where he goes, I'd have put him at Sam. I'd have rushed him every time. Go ahead.
Where would you put him on defense?
I'd play him at Sam linebacker. Wow. And I'd rush him about 50% of the time.
He would kill people.
He knows. He's got the plan. I want to see it. I hope if nothing else from that interview with Kay Adams coming to the Saints facility that it manifests that we get to see Taysom do so. He's already covered kicks. He's covered kicks and punts. He can tackle. Why not? Put him out there. Let's see it. Pathway to the Hall of Fame. If Devin Hester can get in the Hall of Fame doing one thing, returning kicks, why can't Taysom Hill get in the Hall of Fame for being a dude? Who said that earlier this year? Was it Carr who said he should be in the Hall of Fame, or was Drew Brees?
It was Carr.
Was it Carr or Brees?
It was Carr.
Said, and it's not wrong. Devin Hester has, if nothing else, set a precedent for your non-traditional Hall of Fame electee. Why? You got Taysom Hill does all these things. Why not? Put him out there. All right, it's after further review. Richard Dixon next at AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Glow Resources. They are complete employer solutions. If you're an employer, if you're a business owner, or you're the person at your business that's in charge of hiring, maybe you're an ops manager, a VP, an HR director, and you're in charge of hiring and you find your business not being efficient. You're losing time, you're losing money because you have people that aren't qualified to do their job. They don't show up on time. Things pop up like their car breaks down, I don't have car issues, you have a court date that you're, whatever. Things that you should know. Well, Glow Resources avoids a lot of those hurdles through the interview process. You see, Glow Resources does, on average, 50 interviews per day. That's 15,000 interviews per year. They know the questions to ask to make sure you get the right person, which is going to make you more efficient. GlowResources.com.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial properties. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
Mason Taylor was named third team.
Mason Taylor!
Preseason All-SEC by the league's coaches. Might just have something to prove. A guy who knows a lot about playing the position in the SEC. Former number 18 himself, a national champion. Guy will be joining Charles Handegriff on Eagle 98.1 Game Day postgame show this season. He is Richard Dickson. Rich, it's great to talk to you, man. Thanks so much for the time. I hope you were doing awesome.
I'm doing good, man. I'm excited about the season. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, man. Hey, let me just start with Taylor. When you hear that preseason, just from a player's perspective, maybe fans and media make too much out of it, but third team preseason all conference for Mason Taylor seems a little low. How would you react to that as a player?
It's a joke. I mean, the guy is a freak. He's probably, in my mind, the best tight end to come through, since I played. He's got all the tools you need. He's a prototypical tight end in today's NFL. He's a pass catcher. He can block okay. He's not going to be a third down guy that you're going to run behind, but he's a guy that's a B-plus blocker. Him being third team to me is a joke. I mean, I was a third team. I think he's way better than I was.
He's up to – what did you weigh, by the way, by the time you got to be a senior?
I was 6'3", 245, 248. I was in that range, and he's 6'5", 255. I mean,
that's where they have him listed.
He's got all he needs. I mean, yeah, and he's filled out. He's a guy that is what I say is an NFL tight end. He's a 6'5" guy. He's 250. He can hold his own at the line, but he's also an elite pass catcher.
What would it take, Rich, for his block? Because you said he's a B or B-plus blocker. What would it take? I mean, I see 6'5", 255, and I go, well, that's a lot bigger. I mean, Rich, when he was a freshman, he was 6'4", 230 is about what he was listed at. So he's grown a couple inches and gained 25 pounds. Where could he improve as a blocker?
That's a mindset. He's got to be an angry guy. You got to have a lot of internal aggression to be a blocker. I was a guy that when I came into LSU, I was 6'3", 235. Tommy Moffitt wouldn't let me leave the weight room without drinking 3 protein shakes, trying to get my weight up when I was younger. But it's a mindset. I was always undersized, but I was angry. I wanted to beat those guys. And that's where, like, you know, I don't know how much he was asked to play in a blocking role in high school. You got to build that mindset. I was a defensive guy in high school. I was aggressive, wanted to go after people. But once you have the size, I know he has the strength. I talked to some of the weight room guys. He's a guy that busts his butt in the weight room. But it's a mindset. He's got to want to block, and he's got to be aggressive and go after him.
Do you think – so Mason Taylor is the guy that is the prototype, right? You've described that. The next guy closest to that, Rich, was Mac Markway. And now he's transferred. You're left with two really freakishly athletic young guys who I want to talk about in a minute, but given that you don't have that guy, what does that mean for your depth and what you do at the position?
It's going to be, you know, I was thinking about that earlier. They don't have, when I played, we brought in Keith Zinger. Keith Zinger was a bona fide blocker. He was, you know, 6'4", 6'5", 265. He was going to beat up guys on the DM. And when it was a power run situation, we swapped places. They don't have that guy right now. I wouldn't be surprised if you see another tackle come in, like Weston Davis come in a heavy run situation. The guy they're going to have to move down because after Mason Taylor's the best blocking tight end they have. You go down the line, Pimpton, great athlete, freak. I've watched all the highlights of him catching balls so far this camp, but he's not a blocker. And, you know, Green as a freshman, you're not going to expect him to be in the blocking game. I watched 3 Zachary high school football games last year. He played wide receiver. He never played tight end.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, it's going to have to be a situation like when I played, we had Doug Blanchard would come in. He's an offensive guard, but they had an extra jersey on the sideline. They would throw on him right before in a running situation.
I mean, who was the guy? I mean, that was Les Miles, right? Times are different.
Yeah.
Who was the guy? God, he was out of John Curtis, and he was a 300-pounder. They lined him up at a tight end. God, dog it. Of course.
Was that not Doug Blanchard? The only one I know was Doug Blanchard.
Blanchard was Calicut guy. He was a couple years behind me at Catholic.
Okay.
God, dog it. Someone's gonna remember who it was. It was a John Curtis dude. He was an he was an offensive lineman who they listed as a tight end. They put him in like 88 or 89 or something like that, and he just mauled.
Well, back in the day,
Dylan Gordon. Thank you, Hunt Palmer. Dylan Gordon is who I was thinking of.
He played with my brother. That was after me.
Yeah.
But yeah, back in the Les Miles days, we had a left tackle or a guard, an offensive lineman that was a second or third guy. They kept an extra jersey on the sideline for a while.
God bless. I'm glad, Rich. I'm glad those days are over, man. We had some good times. But I'm glad those days are over, man.
Well, to me, it's just like it was a disrespect to the tight ends. We're like, hey, we felt like we could block. You don't need to bring in another tackle.
I mean, but you ain't 300 pounds, dog. I mean, for what Les wanted you to accomplish, that was probably the best path, the path of least resistance. Richard Dixon's our guest. Let me ask about the two young guys. So let's start with Pimpton because he's been there for 2 years. Brian Kelly's talked about him getting a little more physical. How do you carve out a role for Kamori and Pimpton on this team?
He's going to have to be a guy. I mean, I know, look, the biggest thing about Brian Kelly coming here, I knew they were going to play a bunch of tight ends. And Pimpton, when you watch him in film, he's got the size. I mean, I think he's a 6'4", 6'5" guy, 240 to 250, whatever it is. But he's got the frame to be a guy. At this point, it's got to be a coaching standpoint. It's got to be in the locker room. It's got to be in the film room. It's a mindset. I mean, because you're going to have the strength, the ability, the size to block every DN. It's not the old days where the DNs are I played with Tyson Jackson, Ricky Jean. They were 285, 290 DNs. Now, you're looking at 255, 260. These guys are the right size. But I think Pimpton has everything he needs. He just got to work on his mindset and want to be the blocker and not be just a pass-catching tight end.
Let me flip it over then to Trey'Dez Green. You say you saw him play at Zachary last year as a receiver. I mean, Rich, like literally the first practice of fall camp when we went out there, I mean, he stole the show. Just this freakish ability.
He's a freak. I mean, he is 6'7", 6'8", whatever it is. I mean, he's 235, 240. He's a man amongst children. When I watched him play against Central, I watched him play against, I think it was Catholic maybe. I went to 3 games last year, and he lined out wide. he ran a go route, and they gave him the ball. And that just speaks to his athletic ability. I mean, he's a guy that I think is going to be huge in short yardage situations, to where he's going to slide out the back and then the goal line, because he's a mismatch wherever he gets in the lineup. But he's not going to be a guy that I expect to run behind. If you're going to have to show a different look. You're going to have to show different looks where you're running the ball with him in there. But it's going to be very similar to was it Arik Gilbert?
Yeah.
When he came in the game, he was a backside cutoff. They weren't running that way.
Here's my biggest question, Rich. I think we've all had this conversation about Pimpton and Green, and we've said, okay, those dudes are a nightmare in the red zone. I mean, you get around the goal line, just throw them the ball, throw it up. But if you do that, Rich, who do you take off the field? Like, are you taking Kyron Lacey or C.J. Daniels or Mason Taylor off the field? That's the part where I'm like, I don't know how they get reps.
No, and you're not going to be able to do that unless one of them commit to blocking. And I think that's where it's Pimpton. Pimpton has the ability. They have to go in with a two-tight situation, Mason Taylor and Pimpton, and be able to threaten them with a run game. If every time one of them come in the game, they know it's a pass, then you're taking an elite playmaker off the field. So I think, Mason Taylor, like I said, he's a BB plus blocker. You need Pimpton to be a C plus, B minus guy, to where you can get behind him. You're not asking him to drive a guy drive the guy off the ball. You're asking him to get in the way. So if you have situations where they can both be in there, you're still comfortable running the ball, then it opens up the playbook to where you can get into that pass game.
Richard Dickson, former LSU tight end. You'll hear him on Eagle 98.1 Game Day post game all season long with Charles Hannegriff. Hey, man, a little birdie told me they're going to award the number 18 tonight. Are you still a part? Like, I know the 18 sometimes are part of it. It's like, how does that? Are you part of that process to choose 18?
That's long gone. We ain't a part of the process anymore.
Oh,
you hear
really?
about it when you hear about it. Yeah, I mean, Les Miles kept it to where when you had Les Miles, Greg Stringfellow, Jack Murchie, everybody was involved. There was a text message going around. They would say who the people are up for. We'd look into it. It started that way with the first year with O, but by the end of it, we find out when y'all find out now.
Got it. You sound a little bummed. You bummed about that?
Yeah, it was a cool thing to be a part of it, because I'm a football nerd. I still watch every media clip that's put out. I go to every practice I can. It was cool to have an input about it. We've seen it in certain situations where a coach uses it as leverage, but we just hope it keeps being true to the original format. I mean, it's the guy that's going to bust his ass, the guy that everybody trusts, the guy that knows how to deal with adversity, and it's the guy that everybody wants on the team. So we just hope it continues to keep that way.
All right. So if you were being asked for this year, given you know the team, who would you pick?
Ooh, I don't know the team like I usually do. I don't know if you know, I've been out of the loop. I had a bad car accident, broke my leg, been in a wheelchair. I'm just I got released to walk last week, so I'm not getting out and about and hadn't been there. But selfishly, I'd Mason Taylor. Why not? I mean, he's a tight end. He's a guy that everybody likes. He's a hard worker. I've never heard a bad thing about him. He's a guy that dealt with injuries last year, dealt with adversity. To me, I'd love for him to wear it.
Richard Dickson, man, sorry to hear about the wreck, man, and all the adversity that you faced. Hanny had just kind of filled me in maybe a few days ago. But I'm glad to hear you're on the mend, and I'm fired up to hear that you're going to be back on Eagle Game Day this year. So you know we love you around here, man. We're fired up to have you part of the team again this football season, man. We're excited for it all.
No doubt, man. I'm the most excited about this football season and doing radio that I've ever been. Just get out the house.
I don't blame you, man. All right, dude. We'll keep in touch. Obviously, throughout football season, we're excited about it, man. It's right around the bend, and we appreciate a couple minutes today. All right.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
That is Richard Dickson. This is After Further Review. We're brought to you by Parrish Construction and Roofing. ParrishBuilt.com. ParrishBuilt.com. Get to the website. Earlier today, y'all have heard me talk about fortified roofs. So earlier today, we found out that next month, another fortified roofing grant window is opening for about 300 Louisianians. I've explained this before. I'll just do it very quickly. You've probably heard or seen some of the commercials. if you fortify your roof, the state of Louisiana is offering up to a $10,000 grant toward your fortified roof. And with a fortified roof, depending on who your insurance company is, that could lower your insurance premium by as much as 50%, as much as 50%, depending on who your insurance company is. If you're interested, let us help. At Parish Construction and Roofing, we can hold your hand through the process. When the grant window opens, how you can get in the queue, applying for that grant, and then ultimately installing your fortified roof. We're a certified fortified roofing company, so we can help. Go to parishbuilt.com. If you want to learn more, go to parishbuilt.com. Just fill out the form on the homepage. I mean, you open up the homepage, you'll see it right there. It's like your name, your address, your phone number, what you need. We'll be 30 seconds. Go to parishbuilt.com, and we'll be right in touch. Do business with someone you know. It's Parish Construction and Roofing, parishbuilt.com. Oh, and also, if you're driving down I-10, especially at nighttime now, right at Highland Road, our sign is now illuminated. I'm really fired up about this. We told you it was sign day a few weeks ago. They put up the sign at our new office. Well, the sign illuminates, and had to get power to it and all that stuff. Anyway, last night was the first time we turned it on. And there's some more surprises, like we can change color. So on football game days, we'll make it purple and gold, make it pink for breast cancer awareness, stuff like that. So we really hope it becomes one of those landmarks on I-10 that people in the community know and use as a landmark when they're driving past. So on I-10, like directly across I-10 from Blue Bayou, right at Highland Road, you can't miss it. It's Parish Construction and Roofing, parishbuilt.com. All right, it's after further review. Thanks to Richard Dickson, man. Very, very much appreciate a couple of minutes. First time I've talked to Rich in a while. As he mentioned there, Handy had kind of filled me in on that he'd been in a really bad car accident, and but thankfully he's okay and on the mend, and he'll be up here. It's great news, man. Be up here for Eagle 98.1 Game Day postgame show. All right, it's after further review. Otter Locks here in about 15 minutes from right now. We'll knock out a quick break, come back. If you want to join us, you can email us, tweet us, text us. Lots of ways you can get involved in the show. Lots of comments about some of the Dennis Allen interview, the Taysom Hill stuff, the Derek Carr stuff on Up and Adams. And I teased this last hour, and I didn't get to it because we got into the Emperor of Empty Yard stuff. But you better stand, Paulie, or it's off with your head. But Cam Jordan did say that Saints fans should boo Sean Payton. You'll hear why. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's.com. Rouse's.com. Rouse's. This feels like home with nearly 70 locations from Lake Charles to Orange Beach, Alabama. Points in between. The truckload sale still going on over at Rouse's, y'all. Truckload sale is an awesome opportunity to go, get all of your groceries if you're buying on a budget, or you just want to take advantage of really good sales. It's the truckload sale over at Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. You can go to the website. You can go to the Facebook page. You can go to the app. You can see all of the deals they have for the Rouse's truckload sale right now. Like, how about this? USDA Grade A value pack Sanderson Farms split chicken breasts. You can save $2.30 on them. It's $1.99 a pound. You want to feed the family? There's a way to do it for $1.99 a pound. It's at Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Get on by. Make sure you download the app. Rouse's.com. Rouse's. This feels like home.
Back to school savings at Bayou Ford. $12,000 off F-150. $12,000 off the new 2024 Ford F-150. And $10,000 off Expedition. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a complimentary extended warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast office products.
It's an everyday thing here. We work horses in the mornings and we work on the property during the day, and without these John Deere tractors, it'd almost be impossible to keep up with the place. I've dealt with some of the other colors and stuff, and I never really got the response back that I get from John Deere, We really enjoy dealing with Sunshine. They're good people. They always check on us and make sure our equipment's running, and we love them. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
All right, glad you're rolling along here, Otter, in 10 minutes. So we're kind of been sort of sprinkling this in throughout the day. It's been a really good show as well. Thanks for being here. Chris Marler was with us in hour one, talked some SEC superlatives. Marler, of course, is our SEC lead on LouisianaSports.net and also helping us with all our social media content. We had Ross Jackson recapping Saints practice. Ryan Kartje, who covers USC, he was here in hour two as well from the LA Times. You just heard Richard Dickson. So we got a ton of stuff. Saints, LSU, SEC, all today on the show. You can catch it all on demand. Just search After Further Review on your favorite podcast app or the After Further Review YouTube channel. So thanks for being with us. If you are watching on YouTube, do us a solid. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you're notified whenever we post a video or go live. One of the things that we kind of sprinkled in throughout the show today are some of the tidbits from these interviews that Kay Adams did with Saints players during her stop at Saints camp on Wednesday. And she sat down with Cam Jordan. There were two things that stood out. First, Cam Jordan has been pretty adamant that he wants to play until he gets to 130 sacks. Here's why.
It's some things in there, right? Anything after 125 is undeniable gold jacket status. I think 130 is just a solid, clean number. And that's just my next goal. And after I achieve 130, then we'll talk about 150.
We looked it up. 14 Hall of Fame eligible players have 130 or more. 11 of them are in Ken. That's the number.
Seems like it's the number. And then there's some guys that have like 87 and 97 sacks, and I'm not sure what the standard is for that other than they had Tom Brady.
Terrell Suggs. If you're wanting the ones who have cleared 130 that aren't yet in the Hall of Fame, Terrell Suggs at 139, Jared Allen at 136, John Abraham at 133, Leslie O'Neal at 132.5. Those are the ones that aren't in the Hall of Fame that have reached. That's the official leaders, by the way. And the reason there's official and unofficial is because sacks didn't become an official statistic until 1980. Am I remembering this correctly? 1982. There it is. Sacks became an official statistic in 1982. So there's an unofficial list and then an official list. So if you look at the official list of sack leaders, the all-time sacks, Bruce Smith, Reggie White, Kevin Green, Julius Peppers, Chris Dolman, Michael Strahan, Jason Taylor. The top 7 are all in the Hall of Fame. Terrell Suggs is next, and he'll at 139, he'll get in the Hall of Fame. DeMarcus Ware's in. Richard Dent is in. John Randall is in. Jared Allen at 136. He'll get in as well. John Abraham at 133.5. He'll get in. Leslie O'Neal at 132.5. Eventually will get in. So then you go and look at the active list. Even guys like LT, Ricky Jackson at 128, Derek Thomas at 126, Dwight Freeney 125.5. Von Miller, who's still active, is the active career leader at 123.5. He'll get in. Robert Mathis at 123, Simeon Rice at 122, Clyde Simmons, who played from 86 to 2000 at 121.5, and then there's Cam Jordan at 117.5. So, and for what it's worth, J.J. Watt, who is a first ballot Hall of Famer, undeniable, is at 114.5. So maybe some injuries and cut his career a little bit shorter, only 11 years. Maybe that's why that number's a little lower, but he's gonna get in. So just because, like Aaron Donald, who's retired now, is at 111, but Aaron Donald, of course, is going to be a Pro Football Hall of Famer whenever his day comes. So, how about Chandler Jones and Justin Houston, each at 112 sacks? I mean, those are two guys who are on pace, according to that criteria. There are benchmarks that are sort of undeniable. It's irrefutable. And Cam is right there on the precipice. The disappointing thing for Cam Jordan is he's not going to get to a Super Bowl. And I'm being presumptive, I know that, but I don't think the Saints are going to get there this year, and I don't think they're close. So if Cam Jordan stays in New Orleans, he's not going to get there. The Saints could do something for Cam like the Texans did for J.J. Watt, where they said, look, we're going to trade you or release you just to give you the opportunity to go somewhere where you can win. Ndamukong Suh chased Super Bowls late in his career. Tampa, L.A., the Eagles. Maybe Cam does something like that in the twilight of his career. I know he wants to win one in New Orleans. They're just not close. So maybe you have something unforeseen happen that we've talked about, like when New England won it with Tom Brady. It was unforeseen, or the Eagles with Nick Foles. It was unforeseen. You could have a Kurt Warner situation, but those are such outlier circumstances that they're impossible to predict. But for Cam Jordan, he'll be a Pro Football Hall of Famer. But he's at 117.5, and he had 2 sacks last year. So he's got to find some juice that he lacked a year ago, or his career is going to end and he's going to fall short of that number. But how much longer at a high level can Cam Jordan play, and was last year an outlier? Is that the trend to expect? The other thing that they talked about was Sean Payton coming back to the Dome. And, of course, Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos will be in the Dome for Thursday Night Football. Listen to this interaction.
What's the crowd like?
It's here. Game? What do you mean? I hope he gets booed.
Do you really think he gets booed?
No, because you won a championship here. No, but I hope he gets booed. Like, how dare you go somewhere else? If they boo, I'm going to boo with them because because he's going to feed off of it. Like, there's nothing you can do to Sean Payton to affect Sean Payton.
Was Cam... Obviously, he loves Sean Payton. He loves his coach. There's no misgivings there. But he'll be on the other sideline. That's also undeniable. So when you hear Cam Jordan say that he hopes Sean Payton gets booed, do you think he's just joking, or do you think this is out of, like, legit hard feelings? Now, I need to say this properly. Yes, he loves his coach. They'll be forever linked, all that stuff. But do you think there's like this feeling of Cam going, man, I've been here my whole career. I stuck it out. I wanted to be here to win here. You left, and now look at the situation. I mean, Cam's the one who pretty consistently says, why can't it be us? Why can't we win the Super Bowl in New Orleans this year? And I respect that tremendously. I also think that is, he's existing in a fantasy land in that respect. But I don't know. How do we think he, like, I wonder if there's any animus there, just for the fact that he left. What do you think?
I think it could be a little bit of both. I think it's more in jest, but I mean, when you hear him say right there where he's like, he doubles down, he's like, I hope he gets booed, and then comes back with, like, how dare you go somewhere else?
I think that was a joke.
Well, I mean, is it?
It was tongue-in-cheek.
Okay. I mean, like I said,
I hope they get booed. He's saying it from a fan's perspective. He was saying it. Let's do it again. He was saying it from a fan's perspective.
I mean,
where it's like, I hope he's booed. Like, how dare you go somewhere else? Like, that's what the fans would be thinking. And I think the fans will boo him. But then Cam at the beginning said no, like he's not going to get booed.
I don't think he's going to get booed.
You don't think so?
No, I don't. I could very much see the Saints doing something around that game for Sean Payton, actually. The guy won a Super Bowl in New Orleans. He should never be booed ever. Except for when he unnecessarily would throw the challenge flag because he was mad.
I mean, Bobby Hebert got booed.
It's different, though.
It's not.
It is.
Muse. I'm telling you, as someone who's been a lifelong fan of the team, who went to games when Bobby Hebert was playing, it's not. He was, because there was no, you have to remember, there was no premise of a championship. There was no awareness of that at the time. Bobby Hebert led the Saints to the first ever playoff appearance in 1987. The Dome Patrol, those years, those were the best year. Those were the best years.
Right.
So that's the perspective. He goes to Atlanta, comes back, and is booed roundly.
That's the thing. What? He also went to Atlanta.
It doesn't
I
matter.
think that matters for sure.
But it doesn't matter in the sense that he could have stayed. There was friction contract, and so he left. And it's the same thing when you come in as an opponent in that building. I'm just telling you, man. You will have, I think, some cheers, and I also don't know that there's going to be a moment where they announce the coach. It's not like a starting lineup. Well, actually, they do. No, because when they announce the Saints starting lineup. When they come on, the opponents come on the field. I don't know if they're going to say, and the head coach is Sean Payton, like they do in an NBA game when they announce the starting lineup and then the head coach. Maybe they will. I guess maybe they will. But I just don't know that there's going to be this very obvious moment where they announce him. If they do, I think you'll have cheers, but you're going to have a lot of boos. I'm telling you, you're going to have a lot of boos.
I don't think you should boo him.
I agree.
I don't think you should.
I think this is a poll question. I would love to know what people, will you boo Sean Payton? Maybe that'll be closer to the week of the game. We'll find out. May also have a lot to do with how the Saints are doing at the time.
Yeah.
Because if the Saints are, what's that? Is that week
7?
So if they're, the bye's late. Bye's week 12. So if they're 1-6.
Ooh. Oh. I think everybody's getting booed.
That's my point.
If they're 1-6, everyone's getting booed.
All right. It's after further review. We'll knock out our final break. Outer Locks is next.
AFR.
Brought to you by Darren James and Associates, brokered by LPT Realty. If you're buying or selling a home, commercial or residential, think real estate, think Darren James. Go to agent225.com, agent225.com. The most user-friendly website in real estate, a newly reimagined agent225.com. I'm telling you, the market is starting to heat up again. Interest rates have ticked down. You're starting to see people invest into the market again. So if you're thinking of selling your home, there is a need for inventory. So call Darren James, get your home listed, get your home sold, and get on to the next phase of your life. Go to agent225.com. That's agent225.com. You need your home sold? Darren will do it. Guaranteed, says so on his billboards. It's Darren James and Associates, brokered by LPT Realty. Go to agent225.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ashner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ashner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
Down the stretch we come, final segment here on a Thursday edition of AFR. One thing left to do, find out what we're betting on tonight. Time for Otter Locks.
Otter Locks, presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
All right, Otter joins us now. Otter, how are you?
Good, man. What could have been better if Milwaukee and their really good closer could have closed out that 2-run lead in the ninth last night, but didn't happen, so kind of spun our wheels a little bit last night.
It's all good, though. Some nice dubs there with the Phillies. We had the over in the Guardians Yankees, which hit. So had that one at 8.5. It was nice to see the Yankees win that game as well. They're up 7-0. It was really good. Diamondbacks. So, yeah, man, good night. Over 9 that game. That sailed past. And a 10-8 ball game. So, yeah, great night. Good night.
Yeah, take that boost. If you double the total, you get paid double. So we got to find that somewhere. So, a light schedule tonight, Matt. Watching Skeens right now. 2 outs, man at first. Giving up a walk and a hit here, but he did pick off Ellie De La Cruz.
Hey.
So, to kind of, they had to challenge it to overturn the safe call, but they got him. So, a walk and a hit for Skeens early. He's about 18 pitches in, no score, top of the first. Cincinnati, as he just strikes out the batter to retire the side. So good, bottom of the first, no score. Pittsburgh. Matt, we're going to go with Corbin Burns. He's kind of on his skids a little bit, but damn it, I'll take him on his worst day against Arrighetti. So coming off a really bad performance against the Boston Red Sox, but he is just kind of a cheap price here. It's about as cheap as you're going to get Burns at home against Arrighetti. So the Orioles there.
It's 162.
And then the Padres tonight. They're also a favorite. If you want to, I would bet them both straight and parlay them as well. So that is it tonight, man. They only got a couple of other games: Phillies, Braves, Angels, Blue Jays, and that's about it. With a couple of NFL preseason games, getting these out the way as well. How about that? 26-6 to the under the first 2 weeks in the NFL preseason.
That was going to be my question, Otter. Any look at the under in either of those games tonight? We got the Colts Bengals. We got Bears Chiefs.
I mean, it's 34 and 32 and a half.
What do you do?
I would. I mean,
all right.
It's just, I mean, how many of these guys are playing tonight are going to be on the active roster? I mean, it's not much. It's not much. So I'm going to the one thing I do like is when they do have these combined practices like the Colts and the Bengals have this week, I do tend to go a little under there because they've gotten everything accomplished that they want to in those controlled practices. So a lot of times they get in and get out, which most do, but even more so after a week long of these group practices. Man, they were heckling your boy Richardson, the second-year quarterback out of Florida. I mean, really getting on him pretty good in some of the scrimmages. The Bengals just calling him out for not letting the ball go, trying to run through him with a no-contact jersey.
Well, got to stay upright. Where are you tomorrow? Oh, Rufino's Friday. Friday. Hey, man, I'm just losing track of days here. All right, Otter, we appreciate it, man. Have a great weekend.
Good luck.
All right, man, we'll see you. It's after further review as we get on down the road. Remind you about South Point Volkswagen and SouthPointVW.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at SouthPointVW.com. The back-to-school sale going on right now. Get on by and test drive one. Airline just north of Highland or SouthPointVW.com. South Point Volkswagen, what's your direction? All right, you missed anything, it's on demand. Use Paulie, appreciate you. Y'all have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow at 3.
AFR.
Love telling you about Michelli. Michelli Weighing and Measurement, Michelli.com, Michelli.com. With locations all over the country, more than 30 of them, as a matter of fact, across a dozen different states, sea to shining sea. From Florida to California, points in between, up to Oregon and the Pacific Northwest. If you weigh or measure something, Michelli sells, services, and rents the products you use to weigh and measure. And also, they got the track system. It's an acronym: Track, Records, Assets, and Calibrations. TRAC. It's a free service, totally free, and it allows you 24/7, 365 access to all of your calibration certificates. So, I mean, of course, let's say you get audited on a job, you will know immediately exactly when that was calibrated, down to the name of the technician that calibrated that precision measurement equipment for you. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Check them out at Michelli.com. Michelli.com, more than 75 years. Michelli.com.
It's an everyday thing here. We work horses in the mornings and we work on the property during the day, and without these John Deere tractors, it'd almost be impossible to keep up with the place. I've dealt with some of the other colors and stuff, and I never really got the response back that I get from John Deere, We really enjoy dealing with Sunshine. They're good people. They always check on us and make sure our equipment's running, and we love them. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.